Are you stuck somewhere? Do you know what time it is? You've kept me waiting hungry for over an hour. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. The restaurant was slow preparing the order. I've just picked it up and I'm on my way. Xiao Chunin glanced down at the dashboard showing 42 kilometers per hour. Save your excuses. All you delivery workers ever do is make up stories. If I don't see my food in 5 minutes, don't bother delivering it. Expect a bad review. A red light loomed ahead. Countdown. 3, 2. Gritting his teeth, he twisted the throttle wide open and raced through the intersection. A shrill horn blared from his left. A fully loaded heavy-duty truck was rushing to beat the final seconds of the yellow light, its speed unchanged. Damn. Xiao Chunin only caught a glimpse of the red truck as he turned his head. Boom. A brutal impact threw him into the air. His vision spun wildly. Hello? Are you pretending to be dead? You. As consciousness faded, the sky swirled above him. Delivery bags, milk tea cups, his phone, shards of debris, vehicles, and pedestrians. Everything seemed to float upward. Silence. All sound vanished from the world. One thought drifted through his mind. This is it. My life is over. Ding. Global deployment complete. Welcome to the island survival world. This world is extremely dangerous. Apart from wits and physical strength, every advantage you enjoyed in civilized society will be stripped away. You each start with a small initial island. Strive to survive and grow. 3 days from now, the novice protective barrier will fade, and the survival trial will begin. Those who fail will be eliminated. After an unknown stretch of time, Xiao Chunin heard an ethereal voice and opened his eyes. What met his gaze was neither a road nor a hospital ceiling. He lay on a stretch of grass, beneath a bright yellow translucent barrier. Am I still alive? He touched his face, then pinched his arm. He felt completely whole. Not a single part of him hurt. He clearly remembered the sickening crunch of bones when the truck had slammed into him. There was no way he should be unharmed, yet not a scratch marked his body. Bang! A loud crash jolted him upright. Outside the barrier, 3 red-eyed wild wolves, as large as Tibetan mastiffs, paced back and forth. Saliva dripped from their sharp fangs, and low growls rumbled deep in their throats. Whoa! Xiao Chunin scrambled backward until his back hit a hard object. He turned to see a half-meter-tall black stone monument glowing faintly. What on earth is going on? He pinched his thigh. Pain shot through him. This was no dream. He looked down at himself. He still wore his delivery uniform. His motorcycle, phone, and insulated delivery box were all gone. Not even a single rock lay nearby he could use as a weapon. Fortunately, the wolves could not break through the barrier. Calming himself down, he observed his surroundings. The glowing dome covered a small circular area centered on the monument, roughly 2 meters in radius, about 12.57 square meters in total. Inside the barrier lay nothing but grass and the monument itself. 3 meters beyond the barrier, thick fog swallowed everything. Outside, the 3 wolves kept staring at him, saliva dripping from their jaws. They could not get in, but Xiao Chunin dared not step out either. If he crossed the barrier, he would end up as prey for the wolves. 3 days, he muttered. Once the protective barrier disappeared, he would have to face these beasts and whatever other dangers lurked in the fog. First, gather information and figure out the rules. He ignored the wolves outside and focused his attention on the monument behind him, the only man-made object within this small enclosure. He placed his palm against its cold surface, which was neither metal nor ordinary stone. Light flickered across the monument, and lines of text materialized. Island Steel District CN 888, Island number 666666. Island owner, Xiao Chunin. Tap to expand island level. 0 island area. Displayed once fog is dispelled. Resources. Unexplored creatures. Unexplored. Beneath the text were 6 selectable options. Chat, trade, storage, build, expand, upgrade. His finger hovered over chat. He desperately needed to know what had happened and whether he was the only one trapped here. He tapped it. The interface shifted, revealing 3 subcategories. World Channel, Regional Channel District CN 888, Private Messages. Xiao Chunin opened the World Channel first. It was empty, and the Send Message button was grayed out. He lacked sufficient permissions. He switched to the Regional Channel. Regional Channel District CN 888,999,998/1 million. 1 million people shared this single region. Messages flooded the screen the instant it loaded. Sun Li Hongliang, are you there? Reply if you see this. It's your dad. Can somebody tell me where I am? 3 wild boars are ramming my barrier. I'm 70 years old and got dragged into this hellhole. Still, my body feels like I'm 30 years old. I look younger than my own son. What happened to those 2 people? Aren't newcomers supposed to be safe behind the shield? The barrier doesn't follow you around. They must have wandered outside on purpose. 3 boars keep ramming my dome, grunting nonstop. So annoying. It's terrifying. 3 huge black bears keep slamming against my barrier. I'm so scared, sob. Everything is shrouded in fog. Who knows how big this island is? I can only see 3 meters ahead. How am I supposed to develop? Help. Don't step outside. I saw 3 rabbits and thought they were harmless. The second I went out, they jumped up and bit me. Does anyone have medicine? Messages scrolled at an incredible speed. Everyone was trapped behind their protective domes, venting their fear and sharing intelligence through the chat channel. Several lines caught Xiao Chuanan's eye. Awesome. I got skill books, disassembly, and appraisal. Wow man, where did you get those? Did you go outside? Hell no. Check your storage. Everyone gets a new player gift pack. Oh, right. They are standard beginner rewards. I was overexcited for nothing. Xiao Chunan closed the chat window and tapped storage. A 30-slot inventory space opened before him. Only the top left slot held a plain wrapped parcel. He took it out. New player gift pack. A gift from the overseeing system. Open. Congratulations. You have obtained axe for logging. Congratulations. You have obtained mining pickaxe. Congratulations. You have obtained fishing rod. Congratulations. You have obtained skill book, disassembly. Congratulations. You have obtained skill book, appraisal. Congratulations. You have obtained dimensional pouch. Light faded, and the axe, pickaxe, fishing rod, 2 old skill books, and a palm-sized cloth pouch appeared on the grass. Xiao Chunan picked up the axe first. Its handle was rough, and its blade somewhat blunt. He glanced at the wolves outside the barrier, then looked back at the axe. That was a terrible idea. He set down the axe and picked up the 2 skill books. Skill learned, disassembly skill learned, appraisal. He used appraisal on the axe. Logging axe quality, normal white description, used for felling trees. May also serve as a crude self-defense weapon, if you are brave enough to use it. Sarcastic description, huh, he muttered. Next he picked up the cloth pouch. Dimensional pouch quality, normal white capacity, 10 slots function, nullifies carried weight description. Items stored inside add no physical burden when carried. This is really useful. Xiao Chunan placed the axe, pickaxe, and fishing rod into the pouch. The 3 items shrank and vanished as they touched its opening, and the pouch remained weightless. A crisp notification chimed. Ding. Island survival system fully loaded. Please name your system sprite. A basketball-sized sprite materialized before him. It had small wings, a tiny demon-like tail, and a cute, cartoon-like appearance. Xiao Chunan stared at it. Can you fight wolves? The sprite blinked. No, can you boost my stats? No, can you give me a gun? No, what good are you then? I assist the island owner's development. Explain select rules and record information. Also, I can keep you company and chat with you. That is among my core functions. Xiao Chunan fell silent for a moment. Fine. Your name is Deep Blue. Ding. Naming complete. Deep Blue will serve you. Deep Blue flew circles around him. You possess 1 and used initial talent draw. Would you like to begin? Xiao Chuanan's spirits lifted. A talent. Talents are divided into 9 grades. F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS, and SSS. Your initial talent heavily influences your odds of surviving the early phase. Draw it right away. Xiao Chunan did not hesitate. In a survival scenario, starting talent could mean the difference between life and death. Deep Blue fluttered its small wings quickly. Initial talent draw activated. A 9-colored roulette wheel appeared in front of Xiao Chunan. The gray F-grade section occupied half the wheel. White E-grade was the second largest segment. Green, blue, orange, and purple sections grew progressively narrower. S-grade and above were mere thin lines along the edge. The SSS-grade slice was so thin it was almost invisible. Those odds are ridiculous. Everyone has a theoretical chance. Very official-sounding answer. The wheel spun, glowing brilliantly. Stop. Rotation slowed. The pointer swept across colored sections. Gray, white, green, blue. Xiao Chuanan's heart tightened with every segment it passed. Please don't land on gray. The pointer drifted past gray F-grade, then white E-grade, and finally came to rest. Amid Xiao Chuanan's nervous anticipation, a heavenly-sounding system prompt echoed. Ding. Congratulations. You have drawn the server-unique SSS-grade talent. Fate card draw. Lines of golden text floated in midair. Fate card draw SSS-grade unique talent effect. Once per day, draw 1 materialized card from the river of fate. All things may become cards, and cards may become all things. Available draws. 1 cooldown, 24 hours. Xiao Chunan read the description 3 times. then looked toward Deep Blue. That's it. Yes, host. This is the sole SSS grade talent on the entire server with boundless potential. I read the description. Xiao Chunin nodded toward the wolves outside the barrier. Right now I need combat power that can kill wolves. One draw a day sounds nice, but what if I only get a loaf of bread each time? Am I supposed to hit wolves with bread? Deep Blue spread its tiny hands. Every draw grants one definite reward. Treasures, materials, food, equipment, skills, talents, characters, and more. Rewards span all types and rarities, determined purely by luck. That sounds decent enough. Xiao Chunin felt slightly reassured. While the talent offered no immediate combat power, a daily draw was undeniably valuable. Indeed, your first draw benefits from a new player buff raising the minimum reward quality. Why didn't you mention that earlier? Begin today's fate card draw? Yes. He rubbed his hands together. Give me something capable of taking down those three beasts. A gun or crossbow would work. I'm not picky. As his words faded, a card with a star-patterned back floated before him. It spun in midair and flipped over. Blazing crimson light burst forth, bathing the space inside the barrier in bright red. Whoa! Xiao Chunin squinted against the harsh radiance. Crimson light, a high-rarity reward, exactly like gacha games. The glow subsided. A woman appeared within the protective dome. She wore an icy blue long dress, silver-white hair cascading down to her waist, her head adorned with delicate ice crystal ornaments. Her features were exquisite, her bearing calm and dignified. Her ice-blue eyes looked serene, yet carried an imposing aura. Stunning, Xiao Chunin murmured under his breath. Then realization struck, and his excitement faded. Wait, I summoned a person? I wanted combat strength to kill wolves, not another mouth to feed. He could barely sustain himself. Adding another person would only consume more food. Once the barrier vanished in 3 days, both of them would become wolf prey. A headache washed over him. Before he could complain, the woman moved. Noticing the 3 wolves outside the dome, she frowned faintly. She lifted her right hand, fingers gently curled. 3 finger-length icicles materialized above her palm, radiating cold. She raised her hand and pointed outward. 3 sharp ice projectiles shot forward. Uft, uft, uft. 3 soft, wet impacts rang out. The 3 red-eyed wolves ramming against the barrier froze instantly. Each bore a neat, bleeding hole right in the center of its forehead. Blood trickled down, and the beasts collapsed heavily onto the grass, motionless. 3 cold system notifications sounded in Xiao Chunin's ears. Ding. Your subordinate defeated Red-Eyed Wolf. Experience plus 50. Ding. Your subordinate defeated Red-Eyed Wolf. Experience plus 50. Ding. Your subordinate defeated Red-Eyed Wolf. Experience plus 50. Xiao Chunin swallowed hard, glancing back and forth between the woman and the 3 motionless wolf corpses. The beasts that had been threatening him moments ago now lay dead. Holy cow. She took them out with a single gesture. How powerful is she? Deep Blue puffed out its chest. This shows you what an SSS-grade talent can do. The woman turned and bowed respectfully toward him. Master. Xiao Chunin blinked. What did you call me? Master. Her reply was steady. He studied her carefully. Do you have a name? She shook her head. Please grant me a name, Master. Deep Blue flew beside Xiao Chunin and opened her status panel. Character? Potential. S Mythic Tier Level. LV.250/200 Constitution. 10 Strength. 10 Agility. 10 Spirit. 10 Unallocated Attribute Points. 10. Innate Talent. Sovereign Ice Physique Exclusive S-Grade Talent Spells. Ice Dart. Ice Blade. Ice Armor. Frost Moon. Ice Spikes. Snow Burial. Ice Domain 7 out of 36 Awakened Status. Subordinate Absolute Loyalty Description. The former Ice Empress of a lost civilization. After her realm fell, her soul drifted within the river of fate and answered your summoning. Xiao Chunin frowned reading the panel. This is Mythic Tier Potential? Her base stats are only 10 across the board. Shouldn't Mythic Power mean hundreds of attribute points? Let me clarify this for you. Deep Blue hovered close. Potential is not equal to present-day strength. S-grade Mythic refers to her maximum growth ceiling, not her current combat power. At level 1, all attributes cap at 10 points, no matter how great your potential. She is only level 2 right now, still in early stage growth. What do unallocated attribute points mean? Do I get to assign points on level up? Deep Blue tapped the stat lines with its tiny paw. Exactly. You earn attribute points every level up. F potential grants 4 points per level. E gives 5, D6, C7, B8, A9. S-grade Mythic Potential grants 10 attribute points each level. Xiao Chunin drew a sharp breath, finally grasping how extraordinary her stats were. From now on, You shall be called Bingley. The woman bowed her head. Thank you for granting my name, Master Bingley. Ding. Naming complete. Subordinate Bingley has joined your island. Xiao Chuanan's gaze shifted from Bingley toward the 3 wolf corpses lying outside the barrier. Deep blue. If I drag these bodies inside and store them in storage, will they rot? He asked the floating sprite. Storage is a time-static space. Items retain their exact condition when placed inside. I suggest you use disassembly on the corpses to obtain basic survival supplies. Disassembly? It is your beginner skill. Simply touch the target and mentally speak the skill name. Xiao Chunan nodded. He stepped out through the yellow protective barrier. Kneeling beside one wolf corpse, he laid his hand on its still warm fur. Disassembly. Pale white light spread from his palm and enveloped the entire carcass. Ding. Red-eyed wolf disassembled. Obtained wolf meat times 10, wolf bone times 1, intact wolf hide times 1. The wolf's body dissolved into motes of light. Neatly stacked supplies appeared in its place. Xiao Chunan lifted a block of meat. Each piece weighed roughly 1 kilogram, with clean, even cuts. No blood, innards, or connective tissue remained. It looked like professionally processed supermarket meat. Disassembly really does all the messy work for me. He set down the meat and placed his hand on the second corpse. Ding. Red-eyed wolf disassembled. Obtained wolf meat times 10, wolf bone times 1, intact wolf hide times 1. Then the third. Ding. Red-eyed wolf disassembled. Obtained wolf meat times 10, wolf bone times 1, intact wolf hide times 1. All 3 red-eyed wolves had been processed. Total loot. Wolf meat times 30, wolf bone times 3, intact wolf hide times 3. Xiao Chunan lifted one wolf hide and shook it. The pelt remained fully intact, its inner side thoroughly cleaned by the skill. Bingley's 3 ice spikes all struck squarely at the wolf's head. The wolf pelt bore no other gashes. Fine loot. In this godforsaken place, meat meant food. Bones could be fashioned into tools, and wolf fur offered warmth. Nothing went to waste. Xiao Chunan stowed the wolf pelt inside his dimensional pouch and walked back toward the island steel. He laid his palm against the steel and opened the warehouse interface. Island steel warehouse type, territorial storage space capacity, 30 slots description, storage linked to the island steel. Items placed inside interstasis and can be preserved indefinitely. Cannot be carried on person. He transferred the wolf meat, wolf bones, and wolf pelt out of his dimensional pouch and into the warehouse. Several slots that had sat empty now held survival supplies. Staring at the 30 units of wolf meat, Xiao Chunan relaxed his tense shoulders. At the very least, he would not go hungry today. He placed his hand on the steel once more and opened chat. He wanted to see how everyone else was faring. Regional channel CNA Zone 999916/1 million. Xiao Chuanan's eyes fell on the numbers in the upper right corner. In less than 15 minutes, another 82 people had vanished. This world weeded people out far more brutally than he had imagined. Even with the novice protection barrier still active, so many had already perished. Once the barrier fell in 3 days, the difficulty would only rise. The regional channel buzzed with all kinds of messages. Some were trapped behind their barriers, besieged by monsters. Some had fought their way out thanks to their talents. Others were already trading meat for supplies. Far more people cried, cursed, begged for help, overwhelmed by their harsh reality. Ha! I, Long Out Yin, awakened a system. I'm never eating beef again. Moron. Everybody gets a system. It's just a chibi system sprite, basically useless. Wah, I rolled the F-rank talent enhanced hearing. What even is the point of this? I can't fight monsters out there. Is this stupid roulette a joke? I got F-rank strength augmentation. I took down a wild boar with my novice axe. Nearly killed myself. Once I catch my breath, I'm going after the other 2. E-rank talent precise, throwing. I smashed 2 bears to death with a lumber axe and mining pick. The third ran away, selling 10 units of wild boar meat in exchange for fire starter and drinking water. Anyone with fire starter, DM me. I'll be forever grateful. Can somebody save me? 3 pythons are right outside. I'm terrified of snakes. I'll give you anything. Just please help. Wake up. Everyone is stranded on their own island. No one can come rescue you. Surviving is already a victory. Xiao Chunan scrolled for several minutes and got a solid picture of the overall situation. Most people were in roughly the same predicament. Everyone possessed their own personal system sprite and had drawn an initial talent. Most posts came from people with basic F-rank and E-rank talents. Occasionally someone showed off a D-rank or C-rank, instantly drawing floods of comments. Holy crap. C-rank flame manipulation. Guys, I'm about to dominate. Boss, please take me along. I'll cheer you on nonstop. Boss, I can support you in many practical ways. Let me follow you. Not a single person posted about obtaining B rank or higher, which lined up perfectly with the talent roulette odds. F rank made up half the pool. E rank accounted for half of what remained. Together, those two lowest tiers filled 3/4 of the roulette wheel. D rank, C rank, and B rank squeezed into the remaining space. Odds for A rank and above were staggeringly low. Still, Xiao Chunin did not assume he was the only lucky one. A zone held 1 million people. With such a huge population base, a few extraordinarily fortunate souls were bound to exist. Those who truly drew high-ranked talents were most likely busy developing their islands, instead of showing off in public chat. He was about to close the chat interface when newly posted messages caught his eye. Guys, exploring dispels the mist. Wherever I walk, the fog recedes. I found a resource chest hidden in tall grass. Got wood and bottled water. Are there monsters inside the mist? I don't dare wander too far. I haven't run into any monsters yet, but there is no guarantee. Wild beef posted for trade, looking for wood and thatch. Urgent. Same here. Mass quantities of pork for clean water and fire starter. DM me with offers. Dispelling mist, resource chests. Xiao Chunin jotted down those two keywords and switched to the trade tab. The interface refreshed, showing page after page of sell orders. Seller, Li Daju item. Wild boar meat times 120 units remaining watts. Wood times 10 or thatch times 10. Seller. Wang Ergu item. Python meat times 120 units remaining watts. Fire starter times 1 or purified water 100 milliliters. He flipped through more than a dozen pages. Almost every listing offered beast meat in return for wood, thatch, purified water, and fire starter. Countless people tried to sell meat. Prices fluctuated wildly, and orders were chaotic. Now that food shortages had temporarily eased, everyone's focus shifted toward basic infrastructure. Water and fire meant warmth, cooked food, and hydration. Why did they want so much wood and thatch? Deep blue. How do you obtain purified water and fire starter? Purified water can be obtained by exploring water sources or looted from resource chests. Fire starter can also drop from resource chests. Some fire-affiliated talents can generate flames actively. In other words, ordinary people mostly rely on chests to get those two supplies. That is correct. Xiao Chunin closed the trade menu and opened buildings. Only one option appeared on the list. Simple wooden thatch hut construction requirement. Wood times 10, thatch times 10. Description: the most basic shelter. Shields against sun and rain. Provides no wind protection and 0 defensive bonuses. So that's it. Reading the construction requirements, Xiao Chunin understood. Everyone in chat scrambled for wood and thatch to build this hut. The barrier kept monsters out, yet offered no shelter against wind and rain. Without a roof, you got soaked whenever it rained. With no medicine available here, catching cold could prove fatal. Xiao Chunin exited the island steel menu. Others were already felling trees and gathering materials. He could not afford to sit idle. He glanced toward Bingley. Bingley stood quietly beside the island steel. A strand of silver-white hair stirred in the breeze, her ice-blue eyes fixed on the gray fog beyond the protective barrier. Xiao Chunin patted the dimensional pouch at his waist. Let's go. Time to find out just how big this lousy island really is. The two stood right at the boundary of the bright yellow barrier. Xiao Chunin glanced down at the lumber axe in his hand. This shoddy tool was barely better than a toothpick for self-defense. Still, with Bingley beside him, his courage grew. You go first. He jerked his chin toward Bingley. Bingley said nothing and stepped straight out of the barrier. Xiao Chunin followed half a step behind, gripping his axe and scanning his surroundings nonstop. He headed east. The moment his foot touched the ground, thick fog 3 meters ahead roiled and drew back, revealing a stretch of meadow. It really does roll back wherever we step. He took several more steps forward, and the mist retreated further. Every step expanded his visible range by 3 meters. Xiao Chunin looked at the tiny sprite floating beside him. Deep blue. Is there a maximum range for mist dispelling? It scales with the island owner's exploration radius. The fog retreats wherever you travel. The island's total area? How large is this place anyway? The full size of your island will only be revealed once mist is dispelled. Suggestion: travel straight in one direction until you hit the edge to get a rough estimate. Got it. Xiao Chunin pressed onward with Bingley. The fog kept receding. After roughly a dozen paces, a small grove emerged from the mist. Calling it a forest was generous. Only a dozen sparsely scattered trees stood there. The tallest reached 4 or 5 meters, trunks slightly thicker than a human thigh. Xiao Chunin cast appraisal on the nearest tree. Resource node. Ordinary small grove harvestable description. Use a lumber axe to fell trees for wood. Yield depends on tool quality and the user's strength. Wood is fundamental for building. We can't skip this. Rolling up his sleeves, Xiao Chunan swung his axe hard against the trunk. Chopping trees. Simple enough. Crack. The axe bit deep into the timber, the shock stinging his palms. Ugh, this axe is so blunt. He gritted his teeth and hacked 7 or 8 times before the trunk gave way with a sharp crack and toppled crookedly. Ding. Obtained ordinary wood times 5. The tree dissolved into motes of light the instant it hit the ground, leaving 5 neatly stacked logs behind. Xiao Chunan gasped for breath, his arms burning with fatigue. He swung at a second tree and gained another 5 units of ordinary wood. His palms burned red from friction. Bingley stood off to one side, watching silently. Don't just stand there. Xiao Chunan held out the axe. Have a go. Bingley took the axe and walked up to a tree. She swung once. Crack. One single blow cleanly split the trunk in 2. Xiao Chunan fell speechless. He glanced at the stump he had labored over with more than a dozen swings, then looked at the neatly severed trunk at Bingley's feet. All right, logging is your job from now on. Bingley said nothing and moved on to the next tree. 1 axe strike per tree. In less than the time it takes to burn 1 incense stick, all 15 trees in the grove lay felled and converted into supplies. Ordinary wood quantity, 75 description, basic survival resource. Can be burned or used for construction. Xiao Chunan stored the wood inside his dimensional pouch. He looked at the axe in Bingley's hand, then stared at his own reddened palms. You have enough brute strength for construction work. Bingley handed the axe back to him. Keep going east, all the way to the edge. Let's map out the island boundary first. Xiao Chunan took the axe and put it away in his pouch. They continued east. Before long, all remaining eastern side mist rolled back over the open sea. They had reached the eastern shoreline of the island. The grassland ended abruptly at a sheer, sea cliff bathed in faint white light, where a treasure chest sat quietly. Whoa, a chest! Xiao Chunan stepped forward and peered down. No land lay past the chest. Only a vertical sea cliff dropping roughly 3 meters to churning seawater. Gray-blue waves crashed against the rock base, foaming white. Thick fog blanketed the ocean beyond 3 meters, and only the low thunder of surf drifted out from within it. Something massive and indistinct glided through the ocean fog before vanishing. A chill ran down Xiao Chunan's spine, and he stepped hastily 3 paces backward. Deep blue, what was that? Ocean mist remains undispelled. Insufficient data to identify target. Strongly advise staying away from cliff edges. Do not enter the water under any circumstances. Xiao Chunan frowned and ran his hand along the cliff face. This cliff looks almost artificially sliced. The rock's surface was unnaturally smooth, as if cut by a laser. He stood upright and turned his attention to the chest. Appraisal. Sandalwood treasure chest tier, common white description, contains random basic resources. May be opened directly. Xiao Chunan lifted the lid. Brilliant white light poured outward, revealing 2 bottles of water plus a large pile of neatly stacked timber floating above. Ding. Opened sandalwood treasure chest. Gained 500 milliliters bottled water times 2. Ordinary wood times 100. Xiao Chunan stared in surprise. 100 units of wood. Together he and Bingley had felled 15 trees and only earned 75 units. A single chest gave 100. I should have hunted for chests first. Deep blue fluttered over enthusiastically. Resource chests are one of this world's most important sources of supplies. Host is encouraged to explore widely. Xiao Chunan shot at a dry look. Nice timing with your reminder, right after all the hard work. He picked up 1 bottle and studied it. Standard 500 milliliter packaging, transparent plastic, clear water inside. 2 bottles, 1,000 milliliters total. Conserved carefully, the 2 of us can survive on this for at least a day or 2. Back in civilization, this cost mere pocket change. Out here, it was life-saving hard currency. Water was essential for life. Humans could survive 7 days without food, yet only 3 without water. Store these away for now. He put the bottled water and wood into his dimensional pouch, then placed a hand on the empty chest. Ding. Empty chest detected. Decompose. What would decomposing it give me? Decomposition yields 10 units of ordinary wood. 10 units? He pulled his hand away. It is sandalwood. Keeping it for storage is better than breaking it down. He selected no. The chest went into his dimensional pouch. Xiao Chunan stood straight and glanced back the way they had come. With the mist fully cleared, the entire eastern landscape stretched unobstructed all the way to the island steel. The bright yellow barrier stood out sharply against the grass. From here to the steel was roughly 50 meters. Is the island this small? He wrinkled his nose. 50 meters. If every side matches this dimension, the whole island is barely 100 meters square. 10,000 square meters. That sounded large on paper, yet standing there it felt like a tiny patch of land. Still, that was only speculation. He needed to clear mist in all other directions to confirm. All right, follow the coastline south. They turned and walked along the cliff edge. After 25 steps, the coastline bent sharply at a right angle, unveiling the southern shore. It looked identical to the eastern side. Grass gave way to a perfectly straight vertical cliff, its smooth rock face pounded by gray, blue surf. Xiao Chunin kicked at the turf by the corner. Soft topsoil sat directly above solid bedrock. Deep blue. Could this island be man-made? Insufficient available information to draw conclusions about the island's origin. Is insufficient information your only line? No, Xiao Chunin waited for more, but the tiny sprite fell silent. Go on then. Insufficient available information. Xiao Chunin gave up arguing with the palm-sized sprite and headed west along the southern cliff with Bingley. Mist retreated as they advanced. Another 20-odd meters onward, another faint white glow appeared on the grass ahead. Another chest. Xiao Chunin quickened his pace. It looked exactly like the previous one, shimmering soft white. Appraisal. Another common, tier sandalwood treasure chest. Open. He lifted the lid, and white light flooded out. Ding. Open sandalwood treasure chest. Gained blueprint. Primitive campfire ×1, ordinary thatch ×100. A yellowed blueprint, and a large bundle of tightly packed dry hay dropped onto the grass beside the chest. A campfire blueprint. Xiao Chunin picked up the hide, textured sheet. Blueprint. Primitive campfire. Tier. Common. Description. Learn this blueprint to unlock the primitive campfire option under the island steel buildings menu. Campfires provide warmth, light, and enable basic food cooking. Excellent find. He weighed the blueprint in his hand. Warmth, light, cooked meat. Every function was invaluable. Light was especially important. Once the barrier vanished in 3 days, no one knew what nights on the island would bring. Fire would at least keep the terrors of darkness at bay. Deep blue, how do I use this thing? Tear it up? Eat it. Master's thought process never ceases to surprise Deep Blue. Press the blueprint against the island steel to automatically unlock the corresponding building. Handy enough, muttered Xiao Chunin to himself. He stuffed the blueprint, thatch, and empty sandalwood chest all into his dimensional pouch. 10 storage slots were now filled, leaving only 1 free. Yet he already held more than enough materials. 175 units of wood, 100 units of thatch, enough to build multiple simple wooden thatch huts. Xiao Chunin turned and called over Bingley. Let's head back and build shelter first. Bingley nodded and followed. They walked toward the bright, yellow barrier at the island's center. Mist parted ahead of them, revealing fresh grassland. After walking a dozen steps, a patch of grass nearly 2 meters tall came into view. Xiao Chunin instinctively cast appraisal. Resource node, ordinary thatch grass harvestable. Description, can be gathered by hand. Tools improve collection efficiency. Thatch. He already had 100 units from the chest, more than enough for 10 simple huts. There seemed little point harvesting this patch right now. He was about to walk past it when a thought crossed his mind. Deep Blue, do resource nodes get exhausted after harvesting? Resource nodes reset their yields every day. The quantity and variety of resource nodes on each island are fixed upon world generation. Suggestion, harvest all renewable island resources every day. Gain an early advantage and keep building momentum. Daily resets. Fixed resource nodes. Those 2 pieces of information told Xiao Chunin everything. Island resource nodes were not one-time consumables. They were persistent assets producing supplies continuously. Leaving this thatch unharvested only for it to reset tomorrow felt wasteful. Bingley, I'm heading back to the island steel to store our loot. Stay here and gather all this thatch, just pile it on site. I will come collect it later. Xiao Chunin pulled the lumber axe from his dimensional pouch and handed it over. Bingley accepted it, hefting the weight. Use this. It will have to do. Better than pulling grass out by hand. Xiao Chunin spread his hands. Or you could use your ice spikes. They should cut grass even faster. Why use an ox cleaver to kill a chicken? Bingley twirled the axe in her hand, blade pointing down, holding it loosely in one hand. That's enough. Fine. Thanks for your hard work. I'll be right back. Xiao Chunin said no more. He turned alone and walked toward the glowing shield at the island's center. As he advanced step by step, the thick fog receded before him, laying bare the landscape across the island's southern side. He covered the short distance in moments. Passing through the pale, yellow barrier, he returned to the island steel and set his palm against its cool stone surface. The steel's interface lit up. Xiao Chunin took out the yellowed campfire blueprint and pressed it directly onto the steel. The instant the blueprint made contact with the stone, it dissolved into countless motes of light and merged into the monument. Ding! New building unlocked. Primitive campfire. One task done. Next, he pulled items out of his dimensional pouch. 175 units of timber, 100 units of thatch, and 2 empty sandalwood treasure chests. With a thought, all of them were transferred into the steel's warehouse storage. 7 of the dimensional pouch's 10 slots were now free. Only 3 things remained inside: a mining pick, a fishing rod, and 2 bottles of mineral water. Once finished, Xiao Chunin opened the building's menu. A new entry had appeared. Primitive campfire construction requirement. Stone times 5, timber times 5, thatch times 5, flint times 1. Description: basic warmth, providing structure. The campfire offers heat, illumination, and enables simple food cooking. Xiao Chuinan's finger hovered over the resource list. He had more than enough timber and thatch, yet not a single piece of stone or flint. For now, the only option was to build a simple thatch with shelter. Confirm construction of simple thatch with shelter. Confirm. Ding. Constructed simple thatch with shelter times 1. Consumed timber times 10, thatch times 10. White light welled forth from the island steel and materialized a shelter inside the protective barrier, perfectly covering the safe zone. Construction complete. Xiao Chunan tilted his head to examine his handiwork. Simple thatch with shelter. Calling it a shelter was generous. 4 wooden stakes held up a roof woven from planks and dried grass. There were no walls on any side, nor even a door. No bed existed either. Anyone wanting to sleep would have to lie straight on the grass. All right, at least we've got a roof over our heads. Xiao Chunin stepped forward and tapped one of the support posts. Solid. Probably won't keep rain out, but it'll block some sunlight. Shenlong, can I add walls? Upgrade to a primitive log cabin to unlock complete walls and a door. What resources does upgrading need? Please check the upgrade tab on the island steel. Xiao Chunan turned back and placed his palm against the monument. The steel interface lit up once more. He selected upgrade. 2 lines of text unfolded on screen. Level 1 island upgrade requirement. Level 1 island core times 1. An island core? He read the line and glanced up at the system sprite hovering beside him. Shenlong, what is this thing? Where do I get one? The island core is a mandatory material for island upgrades. Yeah, I can see that. I'm asking how to obtain it. Simple. Shatter the island steel right in front of you. Every island's steel functions as its core. Destroying it drops an island core matching its rank. Before Xiao Chunan could reply, crimson warning text surfaced across the stone. Warning, the island steel is the island core. Destroying it will cause the island to disintegrate and result in the island lord's death. Protect the steel at all costs. Are you telling me how to get myself killed? Xiao Chunan grabbed the tiny sprite in his hand. Currently, the only known acquisition method is destroying the island steel. The Q-style sprite blinked innocently while being held aloft. Great, thanks a whole lot. Xiao Chunan let go. He gave up trying to reason with the little creature. So to upgrade his island, he would need to destroy other people's island steels. He did not dwell on the thought, refocusing on the building list. Primitive log cabin upgrade requirement. Timber times 100, thatch times 100, stone times 20. Description: basic residential building. Shields occupants from rain, sun, and wind. He possessed sufficient timber and thatch. Stone was the only missing resource. Stone was mandatory whether he wanted to build the campfire or upgrade the cabin. Xiao Chunin opened the trade tab. The screen shifted to display the marketplace. He typed flint into the search bar. The page refreshed. Only one listing appeared. Seller: Neo Dali item. Flint times 1 wanted. Any blueprint for a building or item times 1. Trade a blueprint for a single piece of flint. Xiao Chunin closed the listing immediately. The seller clearly knew how scarce flint was and aimed to leverage its value for something far more valuable. On the other hand, out of 1 million players across the zone, only one person was selling flint. That proved just how rare the material really was. He cleared the search box and typed purified water. Hundreds of pages of listings popped up this time. Seller: Yun Yaojian item. Mineral water 350 milliliters times 1 wanted. Timber/stone/thatch/food times 30. The price was steep. 1 bottle of water cost 30 units of basic resources or food. Xiao Chunin searched timber, thatch, stone, and beast meat one after another, scrolling through listings. Beast meat dominated the market, selling at rock bottom prices. Page after page offered meat. Some sellers pricing 1 unit of meat in exchange for 1 unit of timber. The logic was plain. Survivors brave enough to go outside had defeated beasts blocking their shores and held plenty of meat. Those trapped inside their barriers could not even acquire beast meat, let alone goods to barter. Supply vastly outstripped demand, so prices stayed low. He browsed for several minutes, building a rough mental picture of prevailing market rates. 1 unit raw beast meat equals 1 unit timber. 1 unit timber equals 1 unit thatch. 2 units timber equals 1 unit stone. Stone prices were reasonable, meaning many islands contained stone gathering nodes. No rush. Xiao Chunin exited the trade interface. He decided to finish exploring the remaining fog-covered territory first. His own island might well contain stone deposits, saving him the trouble of trading. Sunset was still far off. He opened the regional channel. Regional channel CN 888 zone 999,632/1 million. The numbers in the corner caught his eye. Another 284 people had perished. The chat remained cluttered, yet moods had shifted from the initial panic. Groups emerged. Some begged for aid, others bragged about their talents, and a third group conducted business. Xiao Chunin scrolled past trivial chatter, picking out useful messages. Someone please help. I can't beat the 3 monsters on my island. What good is F-rank enhanced smell? All I can do is smell how foul they are. Quit complaining. I rolled F-rank enhanced hair growth. All it does is make my hair longer. At least you get advance warning of danger. Enough from both of you. I have E-rank night vision. Useless in daylight. But I dare not step outside once night falls. Xiao Chunin huffed a quiet laugh. Put the 3 together, and you got a long-haired sentry with a sharp nose and night sight. He kept scrolling. Anyone interested? I'm putting wolf pelts on trade. 1 wolf pelt for 5 timber, bargain price. Who needs wolf pelts right now? Everyone wants fire sources and clean drinking water. 30 resources for fire, or 5 resources for cooked meat. I cannot stand eating raw flesh. Several posts grabbed his full attention. Does anybody know how to fight elite monsters? There's an iron, ranked treasure chest on my island guarded by an elite boar. Its tusks are thicker than my arm. It nearly gored me to death. Beware of the fog. I headed north and spotted glowing fruit beside a black chest, guarded by an elite giant python. I barely escaped alive. I found spirit fruit protected by an elite silverback gorilla. It almost tore my head off. I fled back to my barrier with my life hanging by a thread. Same situation here. A spirit, or node on my island is guarded by an elite monster I cannot defeat. Can anyone tell me roughly how strong elite foes are? I fought an elite monster with a D-rank combat talent and nearly died. You probably need at least a C-rank combat talent to stand a chance. Many similar messages filled the feed. Elite beasts, iron, ranked treasure chests, special resource nodes. Clearly, resources varied widely between islands. Many of the recently deceased must have foolishly challenged elite monsters and paid with their lives. I wonder if my island has any of those. Xiao Chunin muttered. The fog still shrouded the western and northern zones. Anything could lie waiting there. He closed the regional chat and pulled his palm away from the steel. Time was precious. He needed to finish mapping the rest of the island quickly. Stepping outside the protective barrier, Xiao Chunin walked toward where Bingley had been cutting grass. In the distance lay what had once stood as tall thatch thickets, now completely leveled. Neat stacks of dried grass piled upon the ground. Bingley stood beside the heaps, felling axe-held blade, down in a relaxed grip. Xiao Chunin walked over and pulled a bottle of mineral water out of his dimensional pouch, holding it out. Good work. Have some water. Bingley glanced sideways at him and accepted the bottle. This grass is high quality with great tensile strength, suitable for making rope. It can be woven into rope, not fine cordage, but sturdy rough binding rope will work. Bingley unscrewed the cap, took a small sip, then closed it again. We just lack proper tools. We'll look for scissors or blades later. Xiao Chunin knelt and gathered all the loose thatch into his dimensional pouch. Ordinary thatch times 75. Added to the 90 units stored in the warehouse, his total reached 165. Far more than the 100 units required for upgrading the log cabin. Let's head west. Without delay, the two set off toward the unexplored western fog bank. Xiao Chunin walked in front, felling axe in hand for self-defense. Bingley followed half a step behind. Her posture stayed calm, yet her gait kept her ready to react to sudden danger at any moment. The western fog behaved exactly as it had elsewhere, pulling back as they advanced, unveiling unknown terrain bit by bit. Xiao Chunin made small talk as they walked. Bingley, do you remember anything about your past? He was genuinely curious. An S-rank mythical, grade companion could not simply have sprung from nowhere. No memories. Bingley answered plainly, keeping watch over the receding mist ahead. Not even fragments? When you were an empress, what did you spend your days doing? Reading official reports? fighting battles. Fragmentary images drift through my mind, but they never connect. More like watching someone else's story. Bingley paused briefly before adding, I only recall drifting through an endless river of stars, until I heard your summoning call. The river of stars? The river of destiny? Xiao Chunin recognized the term from system descriptions. You may call it that. Bingley turned her head. Ice. Blue eyes regarded him evenly. The very first person I saw upon waking was you. Xiao Chunin felt slightly flustered under her gaze and scratched the back of his neck. All right, the past doesn't matter. Stick with me, and I'll make sure you live comfortably. Mid-sentence, a dark shape burst out of the fog off to their flank, charging straight for Xiao Chunin's throat. Rank wind washed over him. Watch out. Bingley's warning echoed beside his ear. She surged in front of Xiao Chunin, raising her left arm. A half-man, tall diamond-shaped ice shield materialized out of thin air. Boom. A heavy crash rang out. The dark creature slammed hard against the ice barrier. The tremendous impact forced Bingley 3 steps backward, gouging 2 furrows across the grass under her feet. Spider web cracks spread all over the shield, yet it held firm. Knocked 2 paces back, Xiao Chunin regained his footing, heart hammering in his chest. He looked toward their attacker. It was a wolf, far larger than the ordinary red-eyed wolves they had fought before, reaching waist height. Its gray-black fur stood on end, and its eyes burned crimson. 2 long, curved fangs glinted menacingly from its jaws. Xiao Chunin immediately cast appraisal. Elite E red-eyed wolf king rank. 3 status. Enraged. Description: Alpha of the red-eyed wolf pack. Mutated after absorbing large quantities of unknown energy. Possesses vastly superior speed, strength, and cunning compared to ordinary wolves. Extremely dangerous. An elite monster. Exactly the kind opponents people had been talking about in regional chat had appeared right before him. A woo. Shaking itself, the Wolf King got back onto its paws. It locked its gaze on Bingley, growling deep in its throat. Scraping at the soil, ready to pounce again. Bingley steadied herself and stared expressionlessly at the beast. She spread her right hand open, and an icy long sword crystallized in her palm. The long blade shimmered with frigid cold. Xiao Chunin hastily stepped several paces backward. He knew his own limits. This battle was far beyond his capability. Interfering would only become a burden. It made perfect sense to leave the fight entirely to Bingley. The Wolf King howled and lunged forward as a gray blur. Bingley advanced instead of retreating. She twisted her torso to evade its lethal bite, sweeping her ice sword across its tough hide and leaving a faint white gash. Missing its target, the Wolf King whipped its heavy tail, which whistled through the air. Bingley pushed off her toes and leaned sharply backward. The tail swiped past the tip of her nose. Seizing that split-second opening, she stepped forward and drove her ice sword upward through the side of the beast's open maw, piercing straight through its eye socket. Woof! The Wolf King's roar died in its throat, replaced by a short, pained whimper. Its huge body convulsed violently, then crashed heavily onto the grass, kicking up clouds of dry grass. Ding! Defeated Elite E red-eyed Wolf King. Gained EXP times 300. Ding! Your follower Bingley has leveled up to level 3. The fight ended. Bingley rested weight on her ice sword, her chest rising and falling with slightly labored breathing. Xiao Chunin hurried over. Are you hurt? My spiritual energy is heavily depleted, but I can keep going. Bingley shook her head. Her ice sword dissolved into flecks of light and vanished. That was amazing. Xiao Chunin gave her a thumbs up before squatting beside the Wolf King's corpse and placing his palm upon it. Disassemble. Bright white light flashed. The corpse vanished, leaving piles of supplies behind. Ding. Disassembled Elite E red-eyed Wolf King times 1. Obtained Elite Beast Meat times 30. Elite Wolf Bone times 1. Elite Wolf Pelt times 1. Every item bore the Elite prefix. Xiao Chunin picked up a piece of Elite Beast Meat. Deep crimson in color, its texture looked far denser and finer than regular wolf meat. He cast appraisal. Elite Beast Meat quality, fine green. Description: meat harvested from elite beasts. Restores small amounts of stamina and spiritual energy upon consumption. Taste greatly surpasses ordinary beast meat. It restores spiritual energy. Xiao Chunin murmured to himself. This was incredibly valuable. Food granting buff effects would certainly be worth far more standard meat. Taking down elite monsters really is a fast way to gather resources. He stored all the loot inside his dimensional pouch and scanned the surroundings. A monster this strong guarding this spot means something good must be nearby. They walked several paces forward in the direction the Wolf King had charged from, and the fog drew back. A roughly meter-tall small tree came into view. Soft green light emanated from its trunk, dotted with more than a dozen oddly shaped purple fruits. Round and bulging, each fruit looked just like an inflated pufferfish. Thunder, puffer fruit tree. Xiao Chunin cast appraisal once more. Spirit plant thunder, puffer fruit quality. Fine green. Description, functional fruit, not fit for eating. Functions as otherworldly grenades. Squeeze the fruit's belly 3 times, then throw it to trigger a violent explosion. Shenlong circled the plant in mid-air. Master, this is outstanding loot. Green, grade functional spirit plants are much rarer than ordinary resource nodes. Gather all of them. Xiao Chunin did not reach out immediately. He grabbed Shenlong by its tiny wings and held the sprite before him. Explain this carefully. Do these fruits regrow after harvesting? Any special rules I need to follow? Will they blow up if I touch them carelessly? Spirit, plant resource nodes refresh daily. Fruits regrow 24 hours after harvesting. Harvesting method, simply twist off the fruit stalk. No explosion will be triggered. Thunder, puffer fruit only detonate when activated in the specified manner. Safe to pick and store normally. Good to know. Xiao Chunan released Shenlong, walked up to the spirit plant, gripped one fruit by its stalk and twisted gently. A crisp click sounded, and the fruit came free completely. Heavy and cool to the touch, it felt as though pulled straight out of a refrigerator. He examined it carefully and stowed it cautiously in his dimensional pouch. 1, 2, 3. Bingley lent a hand, and soon all fruits were collected. Xiao Chunan counted what sat inside his pouch. 14 purple fruits sat neatly within one storage slot. 14 total. Xiao Chunin felt upbeat. With 14 makeshift grenades at hand, his sense of safety improved greatly. They continued onward in the same direction. After walking only a short distance, the western fog reached its absolute boundary. Just like the eastern and southern zones, grass ended abruptly at a sheer 3-meter cliff overlooking gray-blue ocean waves. A jet black chest sat right at the edge of the cliff. Its surface bore a metallic sheen, rippling with concentric rings of green glow. A black, iron chest. Xiao Chuanan's eyes lit up. People in the chat channel had mentioned that chests guarded by elite monsters looked exactly like this. Appraisal. Black, iron chest. Quality, fine green. Description, contains random basic resources. There is a chance to obtain fine, grade items or equipment. Can be opened directly. Green quality. 1 tier higher than the 2 sandalwood chests he had found before. Taking down an elite wolf king as the reward. Whatever is inside has to be good. Xiao Chunan rubbed his hands together, stepped forward and flipped open the lid. Green light surged out from within the chest. Ding. Open black, iron chest. Obtained. Barbecue grill schematic ×1, flint ×3, thunder, guinea fruit seeds ×5. 3 sets of items emerged out of the radiance. A yellowed blueprint, 3 gray, white stones with sharp edges, and 5 thumb-sized purple seeds. The first thing Xiao Chunin picked up were the 3 gray, white stones. Flint. With these, I've got ignition material for campfires. He hefted the 3 pieces of flint in his hands. They felt solid and heavy with sharp, angular edges. Bingley walked over and glanced at what he held. Can it start fires? Yep. With this we can boil water and roast meat. Xiao Chunin stowed the flint inside his dimensional pouch, then picked up the yellowed blueprint. Barbecue grill schematic. Quality, fine green. Description, upon learning this schematic, unlock the crafting item, barbecue grill, at the workbench for cooking food. Food cooked on it grants a 30% increase to satiety. Next he looked at the 5 purple seeds. Thunder, guinea fruit seeds green. Description, plant on tilled soil to grow thunder, guinea fruit upon maturity. Great loot, all of it useful. Xiao Chunin stored all 3 spoils inside his dimensional pouch, then stared at the empty black, iron chest. Deep blue. What do I get if I break this chest down? Deconstructing the black, iron chest yields 10 units of common iron ingot. Iron ingots. Xiao Chunin lifted and weighed the chest. 10 units did not sound like much. Yet even stone was scarce on the trading market right now, let alone iron. He decided not to break it down immediately. I'll keep it for now. It might serve some other purpose. He placed the chest inside his dimensional pouch, filling its final empty slot. 10 slots are far too few. Xiao Chunan patted the pouch and turned toward the northern part of the island still shrouded in mist. Let's go take a look over there. The two changed direction and headed toward the fog-covered northern zone. Mist receded before them step by step, revealing more of their surroundings. After walking roughly 20 paces, a pile of assorted boulders emerged from the fog. Xiao Chunan stepped forward and cast appraisal. Resource node, ordinary rock pile mineable. Description: mining with a pickaxe yields stone. Gathering efficiency depends on tool quality and the user's strength stat. Finally found it. Xiao Chunin pulled his iron-headed, wooden-handled mining pick from his pouch and struck a protruding rock. Clang. Powerful recoil traveled along the handle, numbing his wrist. Only a faint white mark remained on the rock surface. So hard. Unwilling to give up, he swung 7 or 8 more times with all his strength. Clang, clang, clang. Sparks flew. At last a chip broke off, dropping a small chunk of stone. Ding. Obtained ordinary stone ×1. Xiao Chunin shook his aching arm, stared at the fist-sized stone in his hand, then glanced toward the massive rock pile. This rate, I'll be mining forever. He looked over toward Bingley. Bingley met his gaze and held out her pale hand. Let me try. Ah, that's really too much trouble for you. Though his words were polite, his actions told a different story. He promptly handed over the pickaxe. Bingley took hold of it, her voice cool and devoid of strong emotion. Your expression says you do not mind at all. Xiao Chunin froze for a moment, then coughed awkwardly. I'll scout ahead to see if there are more chests. You carry on mining. He gestured toward the nearby mist to save face. Very well. Bingley replied with a single word. She walked up to the rock pile, hefted the pickaxe with one hand, and swung hard against a large boulder. Crack. A clean, sharp sound echoed. A huge slab of rock broke loose at once. Ding. Obtained stone ×5. Xiao Chunin fell silent. He turned away, unable to bear witnessing such a stark contrast, and walked alone deeper into the northern mist. Xiao Chunin walked another dozen meters into the remaining northern fog. Mist rolled back toward the open sea, unveiling the last section of the island. A chest glowing soft white stood at the cliff edge. Another sandalwood chest. He hurried forward and threw open its lid. Ding. Open sandalwood chest. Obtained iron ingot ×10, ordinary stone ×100. Xiao Chunin glanced behind him. All fog covering the island had been pushed out to sea, and the full outline of the landmass lay bare. It formed a neat square roughly 100 meters long and wide, ringed all around by sheer vertical cliffs. At the island's center stood the island steel, shielded by a bright golden barrier and the newly built wooden shed. A dozen meters away, Bingley continued mining stone, the pickaxe rising and falling in steady rhythmic blows. Hardly an island. Feels more like a prison. Xiao Chunin walked to the cliff edge and stared down at the gray, blue seawater far below. Nothing but sheer drops all around. Not a single spot to climb down to the water. Deep blue. Can this island expand later? The island steel features an expand option. Once certain conditions are met, island territory may be increased. What conditions? Upgrade the island steel's level or consume special resources. Exact expansion requirements can be checked at the steel. All right, I'll look into it later. Xiao Chunin pulled his gaze away from the distance, checked the sky, and took out the fishing rod he had received from the new player gift pack. He bent down and collected the iron ingots and stone, completely filling all 10 slots of his dimensional pouch. He had no choice but to leave the empty sandalwood chest where it sat. Bingley still needed some time to finish mining. Xiao Chunin decided to test out the fishing rod. Deep blue. This fishing rod does not even have a hook. Did I get a defective item? This rod is not for catching fish. It is used to fish for supplies out of the sea. You can fish up supplies? Just cast the line and see for yourself. Half skeptical, Xiao Chunin stepped onto the cliff edge, planted his feet firmly, and flung the line far out over the sea. The bear end traced an arc through the air before splashing down into the gray, blue sea 3 meters below. The instant the line hit the water, a semi-transparent panel popped up. Fishing in progress. Countdown, 1 hour. 1 whole hour. Xiao Chunin squatted down, gripping the rod in one hand and resting the other on his knee. That sounds fun. Am I guaranteed one item once the timer finishes? Not necessarily. It all depends on luck. Wait, does that mean I might get absolutely nothing? Coming home empty-handed is quite common while fishing. As Deep Blue spoke, its tiny face carried an expression that plainly read, "Isn't this obvious?" Xiao Chunin grimaced. Waiting an hour only to catch nothing? That would be frustrating, which is why luck matters so much. On a different island, Zone CN 888, island number 001024. Zheng Qin stood beside his island steel and watched the ongoing battle 20 meters ahead, excitement plain on his face. He had asked his spirit Red Sakura, the first 3 trialists in the zone, to dispel all mist and gather every resource would receive a zone-wide announcement plus hidden rewards. Higher rankings yielded better rewards. Come on, that elite boar is almost dead. Just 3 more axe blows at most. A tiny red-colored Q-style spirit hovered beside him, chattering non-stop. 3 savages armed with stone axes swarmed the elite boar. Its hide bore countless gashes. Its legs shook, and blood stained the grass beneath it dark red. Though it still struggled desperately, it was clearly on its last legs. All 4 resource nodes on his island had been fully harvested, and all 4 chests opened. Killing this boar would clear away the last traces of fog. He would be the first out of 1 million trialists in Zone CN 888 to complete full island development. The number, 1 zone announcement, and hidden reward were as good as his. Zheng Qin watched the savages take turns hacking at the boar, feeling excellent. This was his B-tier talent, Chieftain of Savages. It granted him an epic, grade barracks building right from the start. Every day, he could summon 3 fully loyal savage units. They lacked intelligence and could not speak, yet possessed immense strength and quick recovery. Most importantly, they never tired. Thanks to these 3 followers working simultaneously, his development speed far outstripped ordinary players. While others stayed huddled behind their protective shields worrying about stepping outside, his island was already fully developed. Red Sakura, what do you think the number 1 reward will be? I'm guessing a building or equipment reward. The little spirit cupped her chin and tilted her head thoughtfully. It is a zone-wide hidden achievement, so quality is definitely going to be great. Do you think anyone else in this zone could progress faster than me? Zheng Qin swept his gaze across his island. The logged-out grove, the mined-out rock pile, cropped grass, and open chests. For resource nodes, completely stripped bare. A normal person would spend ages just felling trees and mining stones, not to mention fighting 3 initial monsters blocking their path, plus an elite boss. I don't think so. Red Sakura nodded firmly. B-tier talents sit near the very top of this zone. With 3 epic, grade units working non-stop, even S-tier talents might struggle to keep up. Zheng Qin chuckled softly. First place should easily be mine. The boar let out a pained roar. Its heavy front legs buckled, and it crashed to the ground. One savage lifted his sharpened stone axe high and swung toward its neck. Victory was seconds away. Right before the axe landed, a faint, ethereal voice boomed across the sky. Ding! Congratulations to trialist Xiao Chunin CN 888 to 666,666. He is the first in zone trialist to dispel all island mist and complete full resource gathering. Reward, perfect grade lighthouse. Ding! As the very first player across all servers to complete this achievement, reward quality has been upgraded by 1 tier. Obtained epic grade lighthouse. Ding! The same announcement repeated 3 times in a row. The triumphant smile froze rigidly on Zheng Qin's face. Xiao Chunan. Island 666,666? Who on earth was that? How was this possible? Squelch. The stone axe finally fell, finishing off the elite boar. The last wisps of fog vanished entirely from his island. Ding. Congratulations to trialist Zheng Qin CN 888 001024. Second place in zone for dispelling all island mist and completing full resource gathering. Reward, rare, grade lighthouse. The ethereal announcement sounded once more. Barely 10 seconds separated the 2 notifications, yet their rewards were worlds apart. Ugh, a dry sound escaped Zheng Qin's throat. Anger and frustration welled inside his chest. Rare grade. Compared to epic grade, this reward felt laughable. Second place might as well be dead last to him. He saw himself as nothing less than a loser. Zheng Qin burned with the urge to find this Xiao Chunan and make him pay. He opened the regional chat board at the island Steel. The channel had erupted. Who is Xiao Chunan? First across all servers? Some kind of god in our zone. Please take me under your wing. Boss Xiao. I'm your long-lost little brother. Island 666666. What an awesome ID. Boss, want a follower. I'm so full of envy. While he has finished exploring everything, I'm still fighting rabbits right outside my base. He must have an S-tier talent. How else could he move so fast? Boss Xiao, say something. Let us admire you. Zheng Qin stared at the flood of messages, his knuckles whitening from how tightly he clenched his fists. Xiao Chunin had no idea his name was known to every player in the zone. Even if he knew, he would not care. Golden text floated before his eyes. Congratulations. You have obtained the epic, grade building, ancient lighthouse. Once the golden text faded, a palm-sized miniature lighthouse materialized in his hand. Forged from unknown metal, it stood 3 tiers tall, capped by a thumb-sized purple gemstone that slowly rotated, radiating ripples of purple light. Just like a video game. Being first gets bonus rewards. Xiao Chunan held the miniature model up for inspection. Ancient lighthouse epic, grade building quality, epic purple effect. After placement, dispel sea fog within a radius of 10,000 meters around the island. Trait. On the island where this lighthouse stands, all resource yields increase by 50%. It also alerts you to incoming threats. Description: an ancient lighthouse. May be placed anywhere on the island and can be moved later. Xiao Chunan weighed the small object and grinned. This reward is fantastic. He was not surprised to take first place. Bing Li's efficiency was absurd. Where others needed 7 or 8 swings to fell one tree, she chopped it down with a single blow. Where most players ran away from elite monsters, she defeated them in a few moves. If someone still managed to beat him with Bing Li on his side, he would suspect she was slacking off. Still, the server-wide public announcement made him think twice. His name plus island ID had been broadcast to hundreds of millions of players. He scratched the back of his head. That draws way too much attention. Deep Blue fluttered twice in circles around Xiao Chunan, patting its tiny chest, thoroughly relieved. That was so close. We almost lost first place to that second place guy. Only 10 seconds separated you two. Had Bing Li paused for even a short break while mining, you would have lost that epic reward. Xiao Chunan also felt how close the call had been. Barely 10 seconds after his announcement finished, Zheng Qin's notice followed. Victory had hung by a thread. Zheng Qin, CN 888. 001024. He memorized the name and number. Among a million people, this man had only fallen 10 seconds behind someone aided by Bing Li of mythic quality. His talent must be extraordinary. As this thought crossed his mind, his expression turned stern. Deep Blue, did you know about this hidden achievement? The spirit tilted its head and fluttered its small wings, completely unapologetic. Yes, I knew. Xiao Chunan flicked its forehead. Deep Blue flinched backward, clutching its forehead. You knew and said nothing? Had I stopped for a rest or gone fishing early, that epic reward would have slipped right through my fingers. You never asked. Deep Blue spread its hands, completely unrepentant. Xiao Chunan grabbed it by the back of its collar and lifted it up to eye level. Am I supposed to ask every single time? If I were about to die, do I need to ask am I going to die before you warn me? Deep Blue waved its tiny hands in front of its chest. As a system spirit, I offer assistance. Some pieces of information must be actively requested by the host. Do not hide behind rules. Xiao Chunan waved the ancient lighthouse model in front of its eyes. We nearly lost this. Would you give me a replacement if we had? Deep Blue looked away. I cannot replace it. Then listen carefully. Xiao Chunan let go. From now on, warn me ahead of time about rewards, rankings, mortal danger, time, limited opportunities, hidden achievements, resource respawns, and building upgrade paths. Do not wait until I ask. But system regulations do not tell you to hold back critical information. Xiao Chunan pointed toward the empty sandalwood chest. If something like this happens again, I will tuck you inside that chest, close the lid, and station you beside the lighthouse to keep watch all night. You can help the lighthouse shine. System spirits do not need to breathe. Perfect, then no extra trouble. Deep Blue fell silent. Xiao Chunan set it down. Do not play clever word games with me. I will treat you as a partner so long as you help me properly. If you hold me back, you become a decorative ornament. Do you understand? Deep Blue crossed its little arms and puffed out its cheeks. Understood. Repeat my instructions. Alert the host in advance about hidden rewards, ranking opportunities, time, limited quests, mortal risks, resource respawns, and building upgrade paths. Add one more rule. What else? When you are uncertain about something, tell me its risk level directly. Do not brush me off with insufficient available data. Deep Blue pouted. Receive. Just then, Bing Li walked over carrying her mining pick. Master, stone gathering is complete. Perfect timing, Bing Li. Xiao Chunan stood up. Keep an eye on the fishing rod for me. I will move our supplies back to base. Bing Li nodded and handed the pickaxe back. Xiao Chunan took the tool and passed her the fishing rod. Bing Li sat down neatly on the cliff edge and held the rod firmly in her hands. Since every slot inside his dimensional pouch was full, Xiao Chunan put lightweight items such as blueprints, flint, and seeds into the empty chest for convenience. He stored the mining pickaxe and miniature lighthouse inside his pouch. He lifted the sandalwood crate filled with scattered supplies and walked toward the pile of small stones. All the stone quarried by Bing Li was stacked in one spot. Xiao Chunan stored every piece of stone inside his dimensional pouch. Ordinary stone times 75. Returning to the island steel, Xiao Chunan transferred all his supplies into the warehouse. A light screen unfolded, listing all stored goods. Common, tier white, lumber times 165, thatch times 165, stone times 175, wolf meat times 30, wolf bone times 3, wolf hide times 3, 500 milliliters mineral water times 2 1 opened, empty sandalwood chest times 3, empty black, iron chest times 1, lumber axe times 1, mining pickaxe times 1, flint times 3, iron ingot times 10. Fine, tier green, elite wolf meat times 30, elite wolf bone times 1, elite wolf hide times 1, thunder tuber fruit times 14, thunder tuber fruit seed times 5, blueprint, barbecue grill times 1. Epic, tier purple, ancient lighthouse times 1. 20, 2 out of 30 warehouse slots were now occupied. My stock isn't half bad. With a thought, Xiao Chunin pulled the barbecue grill blueprint out of storage and pressed it against the island steel. The blueprint dissolved into specks of light and merged into the stone monument. Ding! New item unlocked. Barbecue grill. Barbecue grill fine. Tier crafting requirements. Iron ingot times 5, stone times 5, lumber times 5, flint times 1. Description: must be crafted at a workbench. Used for cooking food. Cooked food grants a 30% increase to satiety. A workbench. Xiao Chunin scrolled through the building list, but found no such option. Deep blue. Where do I get a workbench? Automatically unlocked once your shelter is upgraded. Master, you first need to turn your shed into a log cabin. Another prerequisite chain. Xiao Chunin wasted no time and opened the upgrade interface. Simple thatch shed basic log cabin upgrade requirements. Lumber times 100, thatch times 100, stone times 20. Description: basic residential building. Shields you from wind, rain, and sunlight. Current resources: lumber 165, thatch 165, stone 175. He had more than enough. Upgrade. He confirmed the action. White light surged from the island steel, swallowing the shabby 4-post thatch shed. Beneath the glow, stone formed a foundation. Wooden planks rose from the ground, locking together piece by piece and stretching upward. The thatched roof expanded. Walls formed from alternating wooden planks and thatch enclosed the space. A wooden door materialized on the front face. After several breaths, the light faded. A neat, square log cabin stood in its place. Ding! Shelter upgraded to basic log cabin. New building unlocked. Workbench. Xiao Chunin encircled the cabin. Its walls fit tightly together. A wooden door sat at the front, and a palm-sized window opened on the side. The protective light shield radius expanded from 2 meters to 4 meters along with the shelter. The safe zone area grew from the original 12.57 square meters to 50.27 square meters. A massive improvement. He no longer feared wind or rain. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The interior was twice as large as the old shed, roughly 20 square meters. Grass still covered the floor with no paving stones, yet it was infinitely better than sleeping out in the open. Not bad. At least I won't get soaked when the weather turns bad. The island steel stood at the center of the log cabin. As the island's core, keeping it indoors was the safest choice. Xiao Chunin walked over and placed his palm against the steel once more. A new entry appeared in the building list. Workbench construction requirements. Lumber times 20, stone times 10, iron ingot times 2. Description: used to craft items and equipment. Every craftable object must be made here. I'll build this first. He confirmed construction. Another burst of white light appeared. In one corner of the cabin, a waist, high stone workbench materialized out of thin air. Its broad, flat surface held a crude iron anvil and several fixing slots. Gray stone along its edges bore carved runes flickering with faint light every now and then. Ding! Workbench construction complete. Xiao Chunin stepped forward and set his palm onto the tabletop. A crafting interface popped up. Only one recipe was available: the barbecue grill. All remaining slots were grayed out and locked. Uniformly marked. Requires corresponding blueprint to unlock. Alright, at least I can make the grill. He glanced over the material requirements. Craft barbecue grill requirements. Iron ingot times 5, stone times 5, lumber times 5, flint times 1. Crafted. Runes on the workbench blazed bright. A warm, yellow pillar of light shot upward from its center. Phantoms of 5 iron ingots, 5 stones, 5 lumber planks, and 1 flint swirled within the beam, merging and reshaping. More than 10 seconds later, the glow faded. A well-crafted barbecue grill rested on the tabletop. Ding! Successfully crafted barbecue grill fine. Tier times 1. Current fuel. Lumber times 5. Burn duration remaining 300 minutes. The grill looked far better built than shown on the blueprint. Its iron frame was sturdily welded. Stones formed a neat firebox at the bottom. Polished flint slotted into a side notch, with a small iron knob above it. Because flint was part of its build materials, the grill came with an in-built ignition system. Xiao Chunin twisted the knob to test it. Click! Flint struck metal, sending a shower of sparks flying. Nice, built-in lighter. He carried the barbecue grill outside the cabin and set it 3 paces away from the doorway. Cooking indoors risked carbon monoxide poisoning, and nobody would come to collect his body if he died that way. After placing the grill, he walked back inside to the island steel. One more thing remained to be built. Basic campfire construction requirements. Stone times 5, lumber times 5, thatch times 5, flint times 1. He selected a building spot. Open ground to the left of the cabin entrance. He confirmed. White light flashed, and a stone ring fire pit appeared out of nowhere outside. Ding! Basic campfire construction complete. Xiao Chunin stepped outside. On the grass stood a half-meter wide fire pit ringed with fist-sized stones. Dry thatch and wooden sticks filled its interior. A piece of flint sat embedded in a stone groove to serve as a permanent ignition source. Basic campfire current fuel. Lumber times 5, thatch times 5. Burn duration remaining. For 100 minutes tips. 1 unit of lumber burns for 1 hour. 1 unit of thatch burns for 20 minutes. Nearly 7 hours total. It was still early. There was no hurry to light it. He would light it at dusk so it could burn through the whole night. Xiao Chunin clapped his hands and surveyed his camp. The log cabin stood at the center, with the island steel inside. The campfire pit lay to the left of the door, and the barbecue grill sat on the right. Humble as it was, this base far surpassed the drafty old thatch shed. He straightened and glanced toward the northern cliff. Bingley remained by the edge. Her fishing cool-down had not yet finished. I wonder if she'll catch anything in that 1 hour. His stomach rumbled loudly. Ever since arriving on this island, he had not eaten a single bite, surviving purely on adrenaline. Time for a meal. He walked back inside, pressed his palm against the island steel, and took 2 pieces of elite wolf meat out of storage. Returning to the grill, he twisted the knob. Click! Sparks fell into the combustion chamber and ignited the wood shavings. Orange flames leaped upward. Grease soon oozed from the wolf meat laid across the iron grill grate, sizzling loudly. A translucent progress bar hovered above the barbecue grill. Roasting time remaining, 200 hours, just like fishing, another countdown. Xiao Chunin looked at the grill. The grate could hold roughly 20 pieces of meat at a time. Deep blue, keep an eye on the fire. Alert me when it is done. He gave the instruction and turned back toward the log cabin. While waiting, he would check the outside situation. He placed his palm on the steel. Island steel, District CN, 888, Island number 666666, Island owner. Xiao Chunin tapped for details. Island tier, 0, Island area, 10,000 square meters. Resources, 1 thunder tuber, fruit tree, small woodland, small, stone pile, thatch patch creatures. Bingley chat trade storage build expand upgrade. Xiao Chunin opened the trade hall. Many more goods were listed for sale compared with that morning. He first searched for flint. Seller, Zhou Poppy /item. Flint times 1 /request. Lumber times 100 or stone times 50. Seller, Zhang Sanfeng /item. Flint times 1 /request. Drinking water times 1000 ml. Prices remained steep, yet no longer reached the absurd monopoly level where people demanded blueprints for a single piece of flint. Scrolling down, dozens more listings appeared with broadly similar prices. Xiao Chunin browsed other supplies. Prices for basic resources had stabilized. Hundreds of thousands of orders listed raw meat, most offering 1 unit of meat in exchange for 1 unit of basic resource, proof of abundant stock. Some quick, thinking players had begun selling cooked meat. Prices varied wildly, ranging from 10 to over 20 units of basic resources per serving. Every listing sold out almost instantly upon being posted. Only a tiny number of outrageous listings asking 50 units of resources for 1 cooked meat sat untouched. No commodity could sell when its price exceeded what most people could afford. Xiao Chunin stroked his chin. The market for cooked meat held huge potential. Starting materials were scarce, so not everyone could enjoy cooked food. People from civilization could not easily get used to eating raw meat. Millions of survivors created massive market demand, yet even those with fire could only cook limited quantities at a time. After all, hardly anyone else possessed a barbecue grill blueprint like his. He closed the trade interface and switched to the regional chat channel. Regional channel District CN, 888,999,483/1 million. More than 100 people had vanished since he last checked. Messages scrolled frantically, yet conversations were growing more diverse. Many users discussed him, Qin Zheng, and a woman named Lu Yanru who had just claimed third-place rewards. Lu Yanru had received her notification while Xiao Chunin built his grill. Her reward was a fine-tier lighthouse. Damn it, I haven't B-rank talent. I finished exploration 5th and only got an ordinary-grade lighthouse that dispels sea fog within a 100-meter radius. Practically useless. High price for cooked meat. 10 stone for 1 piece. Message me privately. Buying purified water at high prices. Buying cooked food. I can pay with spirit ore. The feed overflowed with requests for cooked meat and clean water. Xiao Chunin filtered for useful information. The most sought-after goods were no longer building materials such as lumber and stone, but survival supplies, purified water, and cooked food. Xiao Chunin closed regional chat and tapped upgrade on the island steel. The next tier of housing sat at the very top of the list. Intermediate log cabin upgrade requirements. Lumber times 300, thatch times 200, stone times 50 description, residential building. Offers better shelter against wind, rain, and sunlight. Larger floor plan with dedicated bedrooms. He checked his stored resources. He fell far short of the requirements. He had more than enough stone, yet lumber supplies were insufficient. Based on daily resource, node respawn rates, the woodland yielded around 75 lumber, and the thatch patch yielded roughly the same amount. Even harvesting everything every day would take 4 days to gather enough lumber and more than 2 days for thatch. In 3 days, the protective barrier would disappear and trials would commence. He could not afford to spend 4 days slowly hoarding materials. I'll put off upgrading for now. Gathering resources manually was far too slow. An idea crossed his mind, and he reopened the trade hall. His remaining basic resources were lumber times 35, thatch times 60, stone times 135. Without hesitation, he started buying heavily. He quickly purchased listings offering 1 unit raw meat for 1 unit basic resource. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed lumber times 35. Obtained raw meat times 35. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed thatch times 60. Obtained raw meat times 60. In the blink of an eye, his lumber and thatch were gone. In return, he held 95 units of ordinary raw meat. Xiao Chunin combined the 30 units of regular wolf meat already in storage with his newly acquired 95 units of raw meat and transferred everything to his dimensional pouch. He walked back outside. The barbecue grill was still running. 2 pieces of elite wolf meat sat on the grate, with plenty of empty space left. Xiao Chunin pulled 18 portions of raw meat out of his dimensional pouch and filled every spot on the grill. 20 pieces of meat crowded the grate. Heat forced fat to bubble and sizzle, and rich meat fragrance drifted through the air. Standing beside the grill, Xiao Chunin grew bored and missed his old smartphone. Deep Blue. Using the island steel is so clunky. I have to walk all the way over and touch it just to open chat or trade. Isn't there some portable device for accessing those functions? Deep Blue fluttered in a circle around him. You can earn an island owner wristband by completing trial events later. It unlocks portable island steel functions. 20 odd minutes passed quickly. Ding. Roasting complete. The 2 elite wolf meat pieces he had placed first finished cooking. The 18 ordinary raw meat pieces added afterward needed several more minutes. Xiao Chunin used 2 sharpened wooden sticks to pick up 1 piece of elite wolf meat. He blew on it to cool it down and took a large bite. The meat was firm and full, flavored, though bland without salt. He called toward the northern cliff. Bingley, come back and eat something. A short while later, Bingley walked over from the north, holding a plastic package in her hand. Master, I just pulled this up. She handed it to Xiao Chunin. It was a bag printed with refined, edible salt, identical to household table salt sold in supermarkets back on Earth. Xiao Chunin took it and raised an eyebrow. Salt? You caught this on your very first cast. Bingley nodded. I have recast the fishing rod. I will retrieve it again in 40 minutes. Xiao Chunin cast Identify on the salt package. Refined, edible salt tier. Common white weight. 500G description. Basic seasoning. Used to flavor food and preserve meat. Xiao Chunin stared at the salt bag and laughed quietly. This fishing mechanic is amazing. His very first haul gave him exactly the seasoning he needed most. Pure luck. He tore open a corner of the bag and sprinkled salt over his roasted meat. He took another bite. Salt brought out the meat's full savory richness. He sprinkled salt on the second cooked elite wolf meat and handed it to Bingley. You've worked hard all day. Eat and restore your strength. Bingley accepted the roasted meat and took a bite. It tastes good. She glanced at the barbecue grill and then looked toward Xiao Chunin. We cannot possibly eat this much meat by ourselves. It is for sale. Xiao Chunin grinned. The whole district is starved for cooked meat. With this grill, The odds are in my favor. I would be foolish not to profit from this opportunity. Deep Blue fluttered anxiously beside him, beating its tiny wings. Master, what about Deep Blue? What do I get to eat? Xiao Chunin shot at a sideways look. You are a spirit. Can you even digest meat? Spiritual sustenance still counts as food. Deep Blue deserves a reward. The tiny spirit crossed its arms, clearly indignant. Xiao Chunin held a small piece of roasted meat and waved it in front of Deep Blue. Just smell it. That is unfair. Xiao Chunin ignored it. As an energy-based being, Deep Blue did not actually require food. A few minutes later, the 18 ordinary pieces of meat finished roasting. Ding. Roasting complete. Xiao Chunin stored all 18 servings of ordinary roasted meat inside his dimensional pouch. He then took out 20 more pieces of raw meat and filled the grill once again. Roasting time remaining, 200 hours. The barbecue grill kept working. Keep watch over the grill out here. I am going inside to list goods for sale. Xiao Chunin returned to the log cabin, pressed his palm to the island steel, and opened the trade hall. Pricing required careful thought before posting. Right now, raw meat traded 1-4, one against basic resources, an irrational bargain. Daily yields from island resource nodes were fixed, so raw meat values would eventually normalize. Logically, one piece of raw meat ought to sell for roughly 5 lumber units. Since cooking was a scarce added service, roasted meat should double in value. 10 to 15 lumber units per serving was reasonable. Yet this was only the first day after arrival. Fire sources were rare, and very few survivors could prepare hot meals. Huge demand met limited supply, creating a seller's market. So long as prices were not completely ridiculous, listings would sell instantly. He might as well take advantage of his unique position. Xiao Chunin entered pricing on the trade interface. Item: ordinary roasted meat times 1 quantity, 18 requested payment. Lumber times 20 or thatch times 20 confirm listing. Confirm. Ding. Listing successful. Xiao Chunin switched to regional chat and sent one message. Xiao Chunin, roasted meat is now listed. Buy through trade hall if you want some. The moment his message appeared, chat feed scrolling speed exploded. Wow. The number 1 player Xiao is speaking. Look, it's the top survivor. Roasted meat? Where? I'm checking the trade hall right now. Gone already. How is that possible? I opened the market and they were all sold out. Sir Xiao, please restock. I haven't eaten anything cooked all day. 20 lumber for 1 piece? People are really buying this fast. I don't have spare resources, but I ate raw meat earlier and almost threw up. 20 lumber for hot food is worth it. Sir Xiao, I have stone. Can we arrange a private trade? Xiao Chunin, you are our top survivor. Could you give some supplies to fellow survivors? Cut that nonsense. Nobody got their resources for free. Xiao Chunin skimmed through messages without replying. Private messages flooded in non-stop. Li Shuer, hello, I am a college student. Can we talk privately? Wang Chunmei, young man, I have not eaten all day. Could you spare 1 piece of roasted meat? Zhao Kuan, buddy, we are all from Earth. You have plenty of supplies, why not share some? Lu Yan, Sir Xiao, I have domestic skills. I can help around your base. Sun Chong, give me 10 servings of roasted meat, and I will follow you. Zhou Hu, how can you charge such high prices? Have you no conscience? Xiao Chunin grew annoyed reading them. Flattery, begging, people trying to grow close, moral blackmail, every kind of message arrived. Ridiculous. We are trapped in a survival world. Nobody owes anyone free handouts. If you want food, trade resources for it. He blocked users sending insults and shameless requests, then closed private message notifications. Reading those messages only ruined his mood. Ding. All 18 units of your listed ordinary roasted meat have been sold. Received lumber times 140, thatch times 220. 18 servings earned 360 units of basic resources. Xiao Chunin felt pleased seeing the transaction summary. This business model worked well. Together with his leftover stone, he had made major progress toward intermediate log cabin upgrade requirements. Still, he chose not to upgrade immediately. Instead, he reinvested all newly gained resources to scale production. He reopened the trade hall and bought every available listing selling raw meat for 1 unit of basic resource. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed lumber times 140. Obtained raw meat times 140. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed thatch times 220. Obtained raw meat times 220. Another 360 pieces of ordinary raw meat entered his inventory. Adding the 87 pieces he already owned plus the 20 currently roasting on the grill, his total stock of ordinary raw meat reached 467. The second batch of roasted meat had not finished cooking yet. Instead of heading outside, He quietly watched public chat. He entered regional chat without posting new messages. He had only just sent one notice before noticing message, sending restrictions. Regional chat remaining messages. 9/10 public chat was not unlimited. Every survivor had only 10 messages per day. He certainly had no wish to waste them, so he simply observed what others wrote. The channel stayed chaotic. Some sold meat, some begged for water, some searched for family members, while others were cornered by wild monsters inside their safe zones, waiting for death. Some players also complained about how tough elite monsters were, begging for strategies in the chat channel. Guys, all 3 resource points on my island are small woods. I've got way more wood than I can use. Anyone got stone to trade with me? I've got 3 patches of Kogon grass over here. I'm sick of cutting grass. All my wood and stone have to come from trades. Don't even mention it. 2 rock piles and 1 Kogon grass patch for me. I still lack wood to build my log cabin. Looking for trades. My special resource spot is a spiritual spring. Its water slowly heals injuries, but a huge elite bear guards it. I don't dare go anywhere near it. Mine's a small spiritual ore deposit. You can mine energy, infused or there, but an elite pangolin has taken it over. Xiao Chunin quietly browsed for more than 10 minutes, sifting through massive amounts of messages to gather plenty of useful intelligence. Every player's island was a perfect square 100 meters on each side, ringed by sheer cliffs on all 4 sides. Each island held 3 sandalwood chests and 1 black iron chest. Every island also had 1 elite wild monster guarding its special resource point. Yet resource point types and layouts were completely random. Some players enjoyed balanced resources, while others suffered extreme shortages. Some, like Xiao Chunan, had well-distributed wood, Kogon grass, and stone. Others had 3 small woods, drowning in wood but starved for stone and grass. There were also those stuck with nothing but Kogon grass or rock piles, saddled with lopsided starting supplies. Special resources varied wildly too. Spiritual or spirit fruits, spiritual herbs, spiritual springs. One player even mentioned glowing mushrooms on their island that knocked you out the moment you ate them. Xiao Chunin chuckled as he read. This world did not hand everyone identical starting conditions. Uneven resource distribution forced players to trade. Elite monsters guarding valuable resources stalled many players' development. Those strong enough to defeat elites could claim special resources and open black iron chests early. Others could only watch helplessly. That was how gaps formed between players. His thunder guava fruit tree was one of his key advantages. Resource points refreshed supplies every day. Whoever seized them early earned a steady extra income over everyone else. Time flew as he scrolled through messages. A notification popped up from the barbecue stove. Ding. Cooking complete. Xiao Chunin closed the regional chat and stepped outside. 20 pieces of ordinary roasted meat sat on the grill. Rich aroma drifted around the cabin door, grease sizzling across the metal grates. He stored all 20 portions inside his dimensional pouch, then laid another 20 slabs of raw meat across the stove. Cooking in progress. Time remaining. 200 hours. The stove cooked 20 pieces at a time, taking 20 minutes per batch, only 60 pieces per hour. Xiao Chunin frowned at the barbecue stove. The output is still far too slow. Nearly 1 million survivors across the region needed food. Fewer than 10,000 had access to fire, even counting survival experts who knew how to start fires by drilling wood. Hardly more than 1,000 players in the whole region had unlocked the barbecue stove blueprint and gathered materials to build one. A massive market gap lay wide open. To let more survivors eat warm, safe cooked meat, Xiao Chunin planned to boost production. It's only reasonable for me to make more roasted meat so everyone can get enough to eat, right? Host, you are putting a very nice spin on being a shrewd merchant. Xiao Chunin walked back inside the log cabin. He placed his palm against the island monument standing in the center of the room and opened the trade hall. On impulse, he listed the freshly roasted 20 portions in 2 separate batches. Item: ordinary roasted meat times 1 quantity. 10 wanted. Iron ingot times 2 item. Ordinary roasted meat times 1 quantity. 10 wanted. Wood times 20 or Kogon grass times 20. Listing finished. If he wanted to scale up his roasted meat business, one single barbecue stove was not enough. Iron ingots were the core material required to build more stoves. Before long, alerts flashed from the island monument. Ding. Your listed ordinary roasted meat times 10 has been fully sold. Obtained. Wood times 100, Kogon grass times 100. The 10 portions traded for basic resources sold out instantly the moment they went live. Meanwhile, the 10 portions offered in exchange for iron ingots sat untouched in the trade list. Xiao Chunin stayed calm. Iron ingots were extremely scarce right now, but not impossible to get. Opening black, iron chests had a chance to drop them. Even without drops, dismantling an empty black, iron chest reliably yielded 10 iron ingots. Most players lacked workbenches at this stage and could not make use of iron ingots even if they owned some. Sooner or later, starving players would give them up for food. Leave them listed. If nothing sells, I will dismantle my own black iron chest. He closed the trade interface and ignored the regional chat for the moment. He had far too much to do. Roasted meat was only his first step toward accumulating resources. Xiao Chunin pulled the palm-sized ancient lighthouse model out of his storage, along with 2 bottles of mineral water. He unscrewed the cap of the untouched bottle and took a sip. Cold water slid down his throat, refreshing him. He put that bottle back into storage. Holding the other bottle, which Bingley had opened earlier, he walked outside. Xiao Chunin stepped out of the log cabin holding the half-open mineral water bottle. The third batch of raw meat cooked over the barbecue stove. Grease dripped onto the flames, making them flicker. Savory smoke drifted far on the breeze. Bingley stood beside the stove, watching quietly. Xiao Chunin handed her the water bottle. Drink some. Keep an eye on the stove. Call me when this batch finishes. I'm heading north to place the lighthouse. Bingley took the bottle, twisted open the cap, and drank. Understood. Xiao Chunin headed for the northern shoreline. He pulled the miniature lighthouse model out of his dimensional pouch. The purple gem set in its top rotated slowly. He stopped roughly 10 meters away from the cliff edge. This spot kept him far enough from the drop, off to give buffer space if something surged out of the ocean. This will do. He knelt down and set the lighthouse model onto the grass. Confirm placement of the lighthouse? Yes. Purple light spread outward from the model's base. Faint tremors traveled up through the turf. The tower base locked itself into bedrock. Metallic segments rose upward, unfolding, fitting together, and clicking into place. Runes lit along the walls, climbing all the way from the foundation to the spire. Moments later, a 30-meter tall metal lighthouse stood on the northern grassland. The purple gem on top spun rapidly. Multiple purple beams shot toward the sky and swept across the surrounding ocean. Thick sea fog was pushed back by the glow. Where visibility had previously stretched only 3 meters across the water, a wide, open view unfolded. Ancient lighthouse. Ancient lighthouse successfully placed. Current fog, dispelling radius. 10,000 meters centered on this island. Within lighthouse illumination range, island resource output increased by 50%. Danger approaching within lighthouse illumination can be detected. Xiao Chunin hurried over to the cliff and looked out. The sight stunned him. Purple light washed over the sea, clearing the murky haze. Within 10,000 meters surrounding his island, the ocean lay fully visible. Hundreds of square-shaped islands dotted the water like chess pieces on a board. Each one floated in isolation at varying distances. The nearest lay merely 500 or 600 meters away. The farthest shrank to a tiny dot on the horizon. Xiao Chunin squinted. At least 40-plus islands sat within his field of vision. So everyone isn't drifting alone across an endless ocean. The fog simply hid all the other islands. That realization weighed heavily. When shrouded by fog, every survivor was completely isolated. Now that they could see one another, nearby islands represented both opportunities and threats. He was about to study several of the closer islands when his peripheral vision caught an abnormal shadow. Several kilometers northeast of his island, a massive dark shape moved swiftly beneath the waves. Its outline distorted through seawater, yet its sheer size was staggering. Xiao Chunin's pupils constricted. He stepped backward instinctively. The shadow rose toward the surface. Water bulged upward like a small hill before bursting apart. An enormous dark, gray saw, like rostrum jutted out of the sea, stretching dozens of meters long. Behind it, a gigantic flattened shark head broke the surface. It was a shark, one bigger than an entire starting-size island. Xiao Chunin instantly activated his identify skill. Line after line of question marks appeared. Before he could observe further, the colossal shark vanished back into the mist. Deep Blue. His throat felt dry. What monster was that? Larger than an island. Deep Blue flew before him, gesturing with tiny hands. Island Eater Shark. As its name suggests, it feeds on islands. These creatures patrol the sea within the fog. They ram and devour unprotected islands. Once targeted, an island will be shattered and swallowed in short order. It can eat an entire island? Absolutely. The saw-shaped rostrum cuts straight through bedrock. It smashes against island foundations repeatedly, breaking islands into fragments to consume them. It fled the moment the purple light hit it. Does the lighthouse repel it? The lighthouse light naturally drives island eater sharks away. Under purple illumination, they almost never approach voluntarily. Dispelling fog is merely a basic function. Repelling island. Eater sharks is the lighthouse's most vital feature. Xiao Chunan exhaled in relief. What about islands without lighthouses? Once their protective shields drop, do they just sit waiting to be eaten? During the newbie protection period, island eater sharks will not attack actively. But once shields fade, islands lacking lighthouse protection face real risk of assault. Of course, their patrol routes follow loose patterns. Not every island will be passed by. Survivors could get lucky and go a very long time without encountering one. What if they are unlucky? The island is destroyed and everyone on it dies. Whoa, this lighthouse reward is far more valuable than I expected. It's not all that special. Every island gives a white, grade lighthouse reward after full exploration, with a 100-meter illumination radius. You normally won't face attacks. Xiao Chunan stood beneath the lighthouse and stared upward at the rotating purple gem in its spire. Beams of purple light spun outward, sweeping across the sea in silhouettes of far-off islands. From a distance, it was the brightest landmark across the ocean. He set the thought aside and glanced at the fishing rod stuck into the ground beside the cliff. Its tip bowed down, fishing line pulled taut. The fishing countdown reached 0. Xiao Chunan walked over, gripped the rod firmly, and heaved upward. The line snapped out of the water. A white treasure chest landed with a soft thud on the grass. The chest dissolved into motes of light, leaving a small cloth sack behind. He picked it up and cast Identify. Lettuce seeds white grade quality, ordinary quantity, 50. Description, may be planted on tilled soil. Requires ample water for irrigation. Maturity cycle, 1 day. Seeds? Xiao Chunan squeezed the sack and smiled. Not bad. We've got meat, salt, and soon vegetables. Life is finally starting to feel decent. Wherever Chinese people went, they never forgot how to farm. Right now he lacked a well or other reliable water supply. Once water was secured, he could kick off crop cultivation. He stored the lettuce seeds in his dimensional pouch and cast his line back into the ocean. Fishing in progress countdown. 1 hour. Xiao Chunan glanced at his panel and clicked his tongue. This fishing rod is ridiculous. It catches everything except actual fish. He turned toward Deep Blue. Can these be mass-produced? If I stick thousands along the shore and leave them fishing non-stop, resources would pour in. Deep Blue stared at him as if he had just said something absurd. Host, please abandon that idea. The newbie fishing rod is a special, purpose item. Indestructible, and cannot be crafted. Only given inside the newbie starter pack. It can catch absolutely anything. With good luck, you could even fish up living people. Xiao Chunan paused. You can fish up living people? Theoretically, yes. That is completely insane. He thought for a moment and asked again. You can't craft them, but can you trade them? On the island world, nearly everything can be traded. Xiao Chunan's eyes lit up. What about system sprites? Can you trade those too? Deep Blue's fur fluffed out all over its spherical body. Tiny wings fluttered frantically. No, absolutely not. System sprites are permanently bound to their host. Cannot be transferred, traded, or given away. All right, I was just joking. Xiao Chunan waved his hands. You reacted like I stepped on your tail. Humph. Deep Blue huffed and fluttered away. Xiao Chunan stopped teasing it and walked back toward his log cabin. When Xiao Chunan returned to the cabin entrance, the third batch of roasted meat was finished. 20 portions lay neatly on the metal grate, golden, brown, and glistening with oil. He stored all 20 inside his dimensional pouch and laid another 20 slabs of raw meat onto the stove. Cooking in progress. Time remaining. 200 hours. Bingley watched the stove. I'm going inside to sort things out. Bingley acknowledged him. Xiao Chunan pushed open the door, placed his palm against the island monument, and checked his trades first. All 10 portions listed for iron ingots had sold completely. Ding. Your listed ordinary roasted meat times 10 has been fully sold. Obtained. Iron ingot times 20. A faint smile tugged at Xiao Chunan's lips. Sure enough, when hunger struck, iron ingots with no immediate use were just scrap metal. He listed his newly acquired 20 roasted meat portions in 2 fresh batches. 10 for basic resources, 10 for iron ingots. Ding. Listing successful. Barely after confirming, the 10 portions for basic resources sold out instantly. Ding. Your listed ordinary roasted meat times 10 has been fully sold. Obtained. Wood times 100, Kogon grass times 100. Xiao Chunan glanced over his incoming resources. The roasted meat market had no shortage of buyers, only insufficient production. Other players also sold cooked meat, yet almost nobody owned steady fire sources, let alone barbecue stoves for bulk cooking. Selling 1 or 2 pieces at a time could never satisfy the demand of nearly 1 million survivors. Xiao Chunan switched over to the trade hall purchase board and searched for flint. Compared with a few hours earlier, far more flint listings had appeared. He scrolled through several pages, picked the 3 cheapest offers, and bought them all. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed wood times 100, obtained flint times 1. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed Kogang grass times 100, obtained flint times 1. Ding. Trade successful. Consumed wood times 80, stone times 20, obtained flint times 1. 3 pieces of flint added to his original 1, giving him 4 total. Xiao Chunan walked over to the workbench in the cabin corner and placed his palm on its surface. The crafting menu popped open. Craft barbecue stove times 4 consumes. Iron ingot times 20, stone times 20, wood times 20, flint times 4. Confirm? Confirm. Runes glowed across the workbench. Warm golden light rose from its surface. Ghostly images of iron ingots, stone, wood, and flint merged and reassembled inside the glow. Shortly afterward, 4 brand new barbecue stoves materialized inside the cabin. Ding. Successfully crafted superior grade barbecue stove times 4. Xiao Chunan stored the 4 stoves inside his dimensional pouch. This was a heavy investment. Yet once the stoves ran continuously, he would quickly recoup his costs. For anyone starting a business with limited supplies, the worst risk was spending resources on things that produced nothing in return. Xiao Chunan stepped outside. He took the 4 new stoves out of storage and arranged them in a straight line on the open ground in front of the cabin. Bingley glanced toward him. Setting up a workshop? Something like that. Xiao Chunan took out raw meat and filled each stove with 20 pieces. 100 slabs of meat sat spread over all the grates. He twisted each stove's ignition knob one by one, and flames ignited in sequence. Cooking in progress. Time remaining. 200 hours. Xiao Chunan clapped his hands and headed back indoors. He touched the island monument once again and opened the regional chat channel. Messages scrolled rapidly. People begging for water, begging for cooked meat, players selling raw meat. Others venting their frustrations, plus many unlucky players trapped behind their protective barriers by ordinary wild monsters. Xiao Chunan scrolled for a while and finally spotted several messages mentioning the lighthouse amid the flood of chatter. Shen Ziyuan, anyone know what's going on? The fog around my island just vanished. There's purple light spinning out there. What on earth is that? He Jianjun. Same here. The fog cleared. I can see dozens of islands out on the ocean. We are all much closer than I thought. Lin Xiaoyu. This is scary. I can suddenly see everything out at sea. So many islands. What if someone swims over here? Zhou Dazhuang. I counted. Roughly 40, plus islands are visible from where I stand. One of them has a huge tall structure, and that's where the purple light comes from. Zhao Linger, I asked my sprite. It says high-grade lighthouses dispel sea fog. Oh no, some powerful player is nearby. I'm nervous. Dingfei, a lighthouse. I also got one after fully exploring my island. The white, grade one with only 100-meter radius. The purple light's range, I estimate several kilometers at minimum. What grade is that thing? Ma Chong, we're doomed. A top-tier player lives close by. What if he attacks us once our 3-day protection expires? Zhao Lei, we are all from the same homeland, so he probably won't. But I wonder whether that tower belongs to Big Shot Xiao or Big Shot Qin. Sun Howren, I just messaged Brother Zheng privately. He said his lighthouse glows blue with a 1-kilometer radius. That purple tower is almost certainly Xiao Chunan's. Xiao Chunan read through the thread. Their guess was completely correct. There was no way to keep it hidden anyway. A 30-meter tall tower stood plainly in sight. He kept scrolling. Sure enough, some players started making threats. Ma de Biao, what is there to panic about? Even if it really is Xiao Chunan, one man can only fight so many. Once protection ends in 3 days, we team up. Players from hundreds of islands attack together. How can he possibly defend himself? Zhang Meng, exactly. No matter how strong he is still just one person. We strike together and seize the lighthouse for everyone. Why should one person monopolize such a huge fog-clearing zone? Lu Taizhu, well said everyone. Remember this plan. We unite once protection expires. Lin Xiaoyu, are you all crazy? He ranks first on the whole server and can defeat elite monsters. You would just march over there to die? He Jianjun, don't listen to their empty bravado. When the day really comes, the people shouting the loudest will be the first to run away. Ma de Biao, humph, we will see soon enough. Xiao Chunan read those usernames with a blank expression and jotted Ma de Biao, Zhang Meng, and Lu Taizhu down in his mental notes. He hoped those 3 never crossed paths with him. His gaze drifted toward the 14 purple thunder guava fruits stored in his warehouse, and an idea popped into his mind. Xiao Chunan, newbie, friendly survival artifact attached screenshot. Thunder, guava fruit stat panel. Perfect for dealing with troublemakers. Limited stock. DM me with offers. Blueprints preferred. Wong Taidan Wo? Is this some other world grenade? Is this real? Zhao Xiaodao. If Big Shot Xiao posts it, it has to be real. Rank. One player on the whole server has no reason to lie to us. Lin Xiaoyu. Squeeze 3 times, and it explodes. Hey guys making threats about teaming up, look at this. He is holding a whole stock of grenades. He Jianjun, haha. Where is Ma Debiao? Weren't you talking big a minute ago? Cat got your tongue? Zhou Dazhuang LMAO. Hundreds of us charge forward. One explosion takes out crowds. That's nothing but a suicide mission. Ma Debiao said nothing. Neither did Zhang Ming, nor Lu Taizhu. Xiao Chunin glanced over the chat and smirked faintly. That is much better. You should always try reasoning first. When reason fails, you settle things with force. Xiao Chunin ignored the regional chat channel. Intimidation was only a tool. Trade was the real goal. He opened his message list where unread messages numbered in the thousands. He skimmed through a few. Li Ergu, Brother Xiao? Sell me 1 fruit. I'll trade 100 units of lumber. Wang Meili, Boss Xiao, I'm from a nearby island. Could you give me 1 for self-defense? I'm really scared. Xianjin, name your price, man. I've just mined some iron ore. Zhao Kuan, we're all from the same region. Give me 1 for protection, and I'll owe you a favor. Xiao Chunin frowned. A favor? People can barely get food to eat, yet they hand out empty promises. 100 units of lumber for a thunder, hair fruit? He could earn that much lumber just by roasting 5 pieces of meat. Trading lumber for the fruit was like buying antiques at cabbage prices. Xiao Chunin blocked message, beggars such as Zhao Kuan and Wang Meili, and kept scrolling. No attached preview image? Skip. No concrete offer, just empty talk? Skip. Messages opening with overly familiar flattery? Skip. What he needed right now were tangible assets, not empty pleasantries. After scrolling past 20+ messages, he finally spotted one with a preview thumbnail. Luo Zhangwo. Boss Xiao, I have an iron hoe blueprint. 1 thunder, hair fruit in exchange. Accept the trade if you want it, otherwise I'll offer it to someone else. Xiao Chunin opened the blueprint preview. Iron hoe blueprint quality, ordinary white. Description, learn it to unlock the iron hoe at the workbench. Used to till soil and boost planting efficiency. Tilling soil. This was exactly what he needed. He had thunder, hair fruit seeds and lettuce seeds he had just fished up. Yet no proper tool to prepare farmland. Xiao Chunan agreed. Open the trade window. The other party replied instantly. Luo Zhangwo. All right, glad to do business. A trade window popped up. On the left sat the iron hoe blueprint. The right side remained empty. Xiao Chunin moved 1 thunder, hair fruit from his storage into the slot and confirmed. Ding. Trade successful. The blueprint landed in his inventory. He did not learn it immediately and kept reading new messages. The next dozen private messages steadily raised his blood pressure. Zhou Cheng, wooden bowl blueprint for 2 thunder, hair fruits. Don't complain about the price. You need bowls to eat. Are you planning to drink soup with your bare hands? Xiao Chunin checked the preview. White quality. Its sole function was holding food. 2 fruits for a bowl. I can carve a better one out of a coconut shell. Next message. Wang Ba, fine iron spear blueprint. 5 thunder, hair fruits, firm price. Think ahead. 3 days from now, the protective barriers will fall. What will you fight monsters with? This is the very first spear blueprint for the whole zone. Xiao Chunin glanced at its stats. White quality, attack marginally higher than a lumber axe. 5 fruits. This guy plainly took him for a fool. I have Bingley. Why would I want that shoddy spear? He skipped the message. Xian Duo. Boss, I've got the simple arrow tower blueprint. A powerful defensive structure. 6 thunder, hair fruits, absolutely worth every coin. Xiao Chunin opened its preview. Simple arrow tower blueprint quality, ordinary white. Construction requirement, lumber times 200, stone times 100, iron ingot times 20. Description, defensive building. Automatically shoots 1 arrow every 10 seconds toward hostile targets within range. Defensive buildings were genuinely useful. Yet it was only white, grade, with exorbitant construction costs, requiring 20 iron ingots alone. On top of that, the sender demanded 6 fruits. 6 thunder, hair fruits could buy him 6 separate white, quality blueprints. That tower fires 1 arrow every 60 seconds. Bingley can shoot 3 ice shards each second. How is that supposed to compare? He kept scrolling. Zhang Wei, boss, simple wooden bed blueprint for 1 thunder, hair fruit. Give me a clear yes or no answer. The blueprint preview loaded. Simple wooden bed blueprint quality, ordinary white. Description: learn it to unlock the simple wooden bed at the workbench. Grants a more comfortable sleeping environment. Xiao Chuanan's eyes lit up. Deep Blue perched on the edge of the island steel, swinging her tiny short legs. Master, beds are highly important. Quality sleep restores far more stamina. Obviously, I'm not made of rock. Chopping trees and mining all day, then sleeping on bare grass? My back will give out sooner or later. Moreover, Zhang Wei's offer was reasonable and free of haggling. Xiao Chunan loved doing business with straightforward people. Xiao Chunan agreed. Open trade. Zhang Wei, perfect. You're easygoing. The trade window appeared. The wooden bed blueprint sat on the left, the receiving slot blank. He placed one thunder, hair fruit, and confirmed. Ding. Trade successful. Xiao Chunan continued scrolling. Sun Yun. Boss, would you take the toilet blueprint for one fruit? I'm not sure whether you have any use for it. It's useless for me. Since I'm female, never mind, I won't go into details. Just take a look. Xiao Chunan opened its preview. Toilet blueprint white description. Learn it to unlock the toilet at the workbench. Waste produced after use converts into fertilizer for farming. I definitely need this. Everyone had basic bodily needs. More importantly, waste turning into fertilizer closed the loop for agriculture. He now possessed hoes for tilling land, seeds for sowing, and a facility producing fertilizer. A complete agricultural system was ready. All he still lacked was a reliable water source. Xiao Chunan, I want it. Open trade. Sun Yun, wonderful. Another thunder. Hair fruit left his inventory, adding a third blueprint to storage. He finished reviewing all blueprint-related private messages. Only these 3 represented fair value offers. The rest were wildly overpriced or completely worthless. Xiao Chunan held the iron hoe, simple wooden bed and toilet blueprints against the island steel. Bright light merged into the stone surface. Ding. New craftable item unlocked. Iron hoe. Ding. New craftable item unlocked. Simple wooden bed. Ding. New craftable item unlocked. Toilet. 3 new recipes showed up on his workbench interface. He glanced over material requirements. All used basic, readily obtainable resources. Xiao Chunan still had 11 thunder, hair fruits left in stock. Hoarding them accomplished nothing. They would just sit unused. The core of trade is value exchange, and value is defined by people. He changed his filtering strategy. Instead of only hunting for blueprints, he targeted players trapped behind impenetrable protective barriers. Most of their private messages followed the exact same template. Paint a desperate situation, beg for fruit, then swear total loyalty. Boss, 3 wild boars have trapped me for a full day. Boss, I'm starving. Save my life, and I will work tirelessly for you. Xiao Chunan picked one moderately reasonable cinder and replied. Xiao Chunan, I can give you fruit, but you must offer something in return. The reply arrived almost instantly. Chendeong, boss. 3 wild boars keep slamming against my barrier. I truly have nothing to trade. Can I borrow one? I will pay back with 200 lumber once I get outside. Xiao Chunan, no credit. Chendeong, 300 lumber, plus 100 stone. I swear. Xiao Chunan, oaths are not currency. The chat fell silent for a short moment. Chendeong, what else can I possibly give? I cannot leave my barrier. My storage only contains supplies from the starting pack. This was exactly what Xiao Chunan waited for. Xiao Chunan, dimensional pouch, fishing rod, or unlearned skill book. Choose one. Price, 1 fruit. This time the reply was delayed. Anyone still alive was not stupid. Starting, kit items looked unremarkable, yet proved extremely valuable later. Dimensional pouches stored goods. Fishing rods pulled random loot straight out of the ocean. Skill books granted permanent abilities. Missing one meant permanently losing access to that skill. But trapped behind a barrier, no matter how useful those tools were, survival came first. Chendeong, I cannot give my skill book. I already learned it. I will trade my fishing rod. Xiao Chunan, open trade. Trade window loaded. On the left lay a beginner, grade fishing rod. On the right sat 1 thunder, hair fruit. Both sides confirmed. Ding. Trade successful. He obtained his 2nd fishing rod. Xiao Chunan tossed the fishing rod into storage and kept reading incoming messages. Zhou Xiaoyan. Boss Xiao, I used to work as a nurse and know wound dressing skills. My knowledge will definitely prove useful later. Could I receive a fruit for self-defense first? Xiao Chunan, dimensional pouch or fishing rod. Pick one. Zhou Xiaoyan. But how am I supposed to carry goods without a dimensional pouch? Xiao Chunan, you are locked inside your protective barrier right now. What goods are you planning to carry? Survive today before worrying about tomorrow. Zhou Xiaoyan, fine. I will give you my fishing rod. Ding. Trade successful. A third fishing rod entered storage. Xiao Chunin put it away and searched for the next trading partner. Healy, boss, 3 mutated dogs are outside my island. I dare not step out. Please help me. Xiao Chunin. Dimensional pouch, fishing rod, or unlearned skill book. Choose any one. Healy, my skill book is already learned. I cannot give away my dimensional pouch. Without it, I cannot transport resources after leaving my barrier. I will trade my fishing rod. Xiao Chunin, understood. 4th fishing rod acquired. Xiao Chunin moved on. Han Wenbin, boss, I own an unlearned appraisal skill book. Can I exchange it for 1 fruit? Xiao Chunin, why haven't you learned it? Han Wenbin, my innate talent is rank D item insight, which already lets me view basic item information. Appraisal yields little benefit for me. Xiao Chunin pulled up the preview panel for the skill book. Deep blue, what purpose do duplicate skill books serve? Skill books may be taught to your followers. Bingley only possesses ice, element combat skills at present. Once she learns appraisal, you will no longer need to examine every object personally. That sounded promising. If Bingley mastered appraisal, exploration missions would save him plenty of trouble. Xiao Chunin, acceptable. Open trade. Ding. Trade successful. He gained the appraisal skill book. Ma Wenkai, brother Xiao, we are both from the same homeland. I value loyalty. Help me out this once, and you can count on me whenever you need assistance. Everyone stuck inside this strange world ought to support each other, don't you agree? Another person trying to leverage emotional appeals. Xiao Chunin tapped his screen. Xiao Chunin, I can help, but you need to give me something in return. Ma Wenkai trade? But what can I offer? I cannot even step outside my barrier and possess no spare resources at all. Xiao Chunin, you still own items from your starting supply pack. Without further small talk, Xiao Chunin sent his formal offer. Xiao Chunin, dimensional pouch, fishing rod, skill book. Any 2 items for 1 fruit. Silence followed for a few seconds, then a new message popped up. Ma Wenkai, man, that is unreasonable. 2 items for a single fruit? Aren't you being overly greedy? Ma Wenkai, I simply believe that fellow countrymen should treat each other fairly. Your asking price is far too high. Xiao Chunin, I offered this rate precisely because we share the same origin. I would not even bother with starting kit goods for strangers. Accept the trade, or I will look for another partner. Ma Wenkai fell silent. Outside his barrier, 3 hyenas repeatedly rammed against the glowing shield. Saliva dripping, rumbling snarls sending chills down one's spine. He could not get out. Holding onto those tools would mean certain death. Trading 2 temporarily useless items for 1 chance to fight off wild beasts and stay alive. Ma Wenkai, fine, I accept. The trade window opened. Ma Wenkai painfully placed his dimensional pouch and fishing rod onto his side. Ding. Trade successful. 1 thunder. Hair fruit vanished from his inventory. Xiao Chunin received the pouch and rod. Anyone trying to manipulate my sense of morality must pay the price. In high spirits, Xiao Chunin stored his newly obtained goods. He methodically worked through every begging message for the rest of the time. Some players agreed to trade 1 item without argument. Others whined about hardship for ages. Before handing over their fishing rod after Xiao Chunin warned he would move to another candidate. Several attempted moral manipulation just like Ma Wenkai. Xiao Chunin raised their required payment to 2 items. A few hurled insults, accusing him of profiting from others' misfortune. He simply blocked them without extra replies. He never accepted lumber axes or mining pickaxes. These tools were essential for other survivors to gather basic materials. Taking them away would leave people helpless even after defeating monsters. He was no saint, yet he avoided actions that guaranteed others' ruin. Besides, those 2 tools held little value for him. Bingley alone matched the output of an entire gathering squad. What he wanted were dimensional pouches, fishing rods, and unlearned skill books. After spending his final thunder, hair fruit, Xiao Chunin pulled his hand away from the island steel and pushed open his door to go outside. Ding. Roasting complete. 5 roasting furnaces finished simultaneously. 100 portions of ordinary grilled meat stacked neatly across iron grates. Golden, brown grease glistened, and rich meat aroma drifted far across the island. Xiao Chunin stored all 100 grilled meat portions inside a dimensional pouch, then laid another batch of 100 raw meat across all 5 furnaces. Roasting in progress. Remaining time, 2000 hours. The 5th batch started cooking. He walked back indoors and placed his palm against the island steel, checking trade notifications. Ding. Your listed ordinary grilled meat times 10 have all sold. You obtained iron ingot times 20. His batch exchange for iron ingots was fully purchased. Xiao Chunin put the freshly finished 100 grilled meat portions onto the marketplace in separate stacks. 80 pieces offered for basic raw materials, 20 for iron ingots. His thunder, hair fruit inventory was empty, yet the loot he received far outweighed those single-use explosive fruits. A mental thought pulled up a clear inventory list in his mind. Fishing rod times 9-dimensional pouch times 3. Skill book, disassembly times 1 skill book, appraisal times 1. 11 thunder, hair fruits had been exchanged for 14 special, grade items in total. All 3-dimensional pouches came from people who had tried manipulating him with moral pressure. Deep Blue, what do you think of my deal-making? Xiao Chunin asked the fairy hovering nearby. Master made an enormous profit. Those people are so short-sighted. Deep Blue planted her tiny hands on her hips, obvious disdain written across her little face. Among all starting kit supplies, the fishing rod carries the highest value. It delivers endless random possibilities and represents the only reliable way to acquire resources originating outside one's island. Yet they traded away future opportunities just to survive the present moment. They lack long-term vision. Deep Blue's assessment perfectly matched Xiao Chuinan's own thinking. Lumber axes and mining pickaxes would inevitably be replaced with superior equipment later. Dimensional pouches, though convenient, would eventually be superseded by higher capacity storage gear. Only the fishing rod's catch. Anything mechanic held endless uncertainty. With good luck, one catch might reward an epic tier blueprint and skyrocket one's development. With bad luck, one could fish all day and catch nothing at all, suffering no meaningful loss. I would not go quite so far, Xiao Chunin mused internally. For them, death awaits if they cannot survive today. There will be no tomorrow to speak of. Trading away a lottery ticket for immediate survival is a rational bargain. Looking over his newly acquired inventory, Xiao Chunin felt satisfied, yet kept a level head. Deep Blue, are there usage restrictions on fishing rods? Daily casting limits? Can a single person wield multiple rods? Deep Blue circled around him mid-air, her small expression saying he had finally asked the critical question. Naturally, there are restrictions. Each fishing rod allows at most 3 casts every single day. Xiao Chunin nodded. That makes logical sense. Unlimited fishing with dozens of rods running non-stop would completely break resource balance. What about quantity limits? Is there a cap on how many rods one person may use? There is no hard limit. If you own enough rods, you may line the entire shoreline of your island with them. Deep Blue spread out her miniature palms. Still, very few people are willing to sell such valuable gear. Most survivors have not yet realized how important fishing rods truly are. Xiao Chunin did not comment. Standing safely in comfort made easy judgments. Faced with the choice between starvation and future potential, any rational person prioritized staying alive. He took out the 2 skill books, disassembly and appraisal. Another 100 grilled meat portions were posted to the market. 5 furnaces worked steadily to prepare the next batch, smoke and savory fragrance filling his small campsite. Bingley stood beside the furnaces. Firelight shimmered across her ice-blue eyes, her expression unreadable. Xiao Chunin retrieved his 2 newly traded skill books from Island Steel Storage and walked over to Bingley. These are for you. Bingley tilted her head and glanced toward the yellowed booklets he held out. Disassembly, appraisal. You excel in combat, but fighting is not everything. From now on you will handle gathering and item identification work too. It will save me lots of effort. He pressed the skill books into her hands. Bingley asked no questions. The instant her fingertips made contact with the books, streams of bright light surged into her forehead. Ding. Your follower Bingley has learned skill. Disassembly. Ding. Your follower Bingley has learned skill. Appraisal. Perfect. Xiao Chunin nodded contentedly. A competent leader maximizes the value of his subordinates. He took out the 3-dimensional pouches. He handed one over to Bingley. Keep this. Store resources collected during outdoor expeditions directly inside, so you do not need to keep traveling back and forth. Bingley accepted the pouch and fastened it to her waist. Xiao Chunin hung the remaining 2 on his own waist, 1 on each side. Together with his original pouch, 3 storage bags hung from his hips. Deep Blue, can dimensional pouches and base storage be expanded? Deep Blue fluttered over and landed lightly on his shoulder. Base storage may be expanded using a special mineral called space crystals. Dimensional pouches must be refined at a fusion furnace to raise their quality. Higher quality means larger internal storage capacity. Fusion furnace? Xiao Chunin memorized this new term. How do I obtain one? Identical to the workbench. Its blueprint unlocks once your sanctuary upgrades to a certain stage. Understood. Blueprints unlocked by base upgrades are not a problem. Xiao Chunin walked back inside his log cabin and placed his palm against the cool stone of the island steel. The trade log interface opened. Ding. Your listed ordinary grilled meat times 80 have all sold. You obtain stone times 110, lumber times 740, thatch times 640. Ding. Your listed ordinary grilled meat times 20 have all sold. You obtained iron ingot times 40. Great. Material gains beat empty words every single time. 100 servings of grilled meat brought nearly 1,500 basic resources plus 40 iron ingots. Xiao Chunan tallied his present stockpile. Lumber 740, thatch 740, stone 205, iron ingots 63. He walked straight toward the workbench in the cabin corner and laid a hand on its stone surface. The crafting menu popped open. Where once only the roasting furnace recipe existed, 3 new entries now appeared. Craft simple wooden bed requirements. Lumber times 20, thatch times 20. Craft toilet requirements. Stone times 20, clay times 5. Craft iron hoe requirements. Iron ingot times 1, lumber times 1, beast bone times 1. He scanned through material costs. Clay. Deep blue. Where do I get clay? Please do not tell me I have to fish for it out of the ocean. Clay pits spawn naturally on certain islands. Resource chests also carry a chance to drop clay. Then I will have to acquire it via trade. Impatience solved nothing. Without clay, building the toilet remained impossible. He could tolerate temporary inconvenience, yet sleeping on grass could not continue any longer. Xiao Chunan selected simple wooden bed for crafting. Consumed lumber times 20, thatch times 20. Ding. Simple wooden bed crafted successfully. White light washed across the workbench, and a wooden bed materialized beside it. 2 meters long, 1 meter wide, standing on 4 short wooden legs. Neatly joined planks formed its frame, topped with a mattress of compacted dry grass. It felt somewhat narrow. He initiated crafting for a second bed. Consumed lumber times 20, thatch times 20. Ding. Simple wooden bed crafted successfully. The second bed spawned beside the workbench. Xiao Chunan pushed both beds side by side against the inner wall near the island steel. Whenever he needed to check market notifications or browse regional chat late at night, he could simply roll over and reach the steel. Perfect. He patted the straw mattress and redirected his gaze back toward the workbench, ready to craft the iron hoe. Consume 1 iron ingot, 1 timber, 1 beast bone. Ding. Iron hoe crafted successfully. A weighty hoe materialized on the workbench. It featured an iron cutting head fixed to a wooden handle with bone fasteners locking the 2 parts tight. The workmanship was far from refined, yet it fit perfectly in the hand when lifted. Xiao Chunan hefted it twice before tapping the crafting interface, twice more in quick succession. Ding. Iron hoe crafted successfully. Ding. Iron hoe crafted successfully. 3 iron hoes were lined up beside the workbench, and all 3 wolf bones he had collected were fully expended. I'll keep 1 for myself. Give another to Bingley. What should I do with the extra 1? Xiao Chunan rubbed his fingertips together. List it for trade. Hardly anyone in this early stage of the apocalypse could forge iron hoes, yet the demand for farmland cultivation was undeniable. Rooted deep within the instincts of every Chinese survivor, plenty of people in the regional chat were already asking how to clear land for planting crops. Xiao Chunan posted 1 hoe to the trade board. Item: 1 iron hoe wanted. 5 clay or 10 iron ingots. After finishing the listing, he stowed the remaining 2 hoes into his dimensional pouch. I can deal with farming later. There's something more critical to handle right now. Xiao Chunan pushed open the wooden door and stepped outside. Bingley remained stationed beside the barbecue stoves. Flames flickered inside all 5 furnaces, filling the air with rich roasted meat aroma. Watch over the stoves for me. I'm heading north to set up my fishing rods. Bingley nodded in acknowledgement. Xiao Chunan circled around the wooden cabin and walked toward the northern coastline. The ancient lighthouse towered over the shore, its purple beams swirling around the tower top and illuminating the sea stretching for thousands of meters into the distance. When he reached the cliff edge, he pulled 9 fishing rods out from his dimensional pouch. Adding the single rod stuck into the ground earlier, he now possessed 10 rods in total. He paced out measured distances and planted 1 rod every 2 meters along the cliffside. The tips of all 10 rods pointed straight out toward the open sea. He picked up each rod one by one and cast the empty fishing lines into the blue-gray seawater. A translucent countdown panel popped up the moment each line sank beneath the waves. Fishing in progress countdown, 1 hour. 10 floating panels hung neatly in a row along the cliff, forming quite an imposing sight. Xiao Chunan brushed grass clippings off his hands and stepped back to admire his handiwork. 10 fishing rods lined up perfectly, their tips bowed slightly, with fishing lines submerged in the ocean water. 3 fishing attempts per day per rod means 30 total chances with 10 rods. Other survivors only get 3 casts a day, while I have 30. 10 times the random loot potential, 10 times the odds of valuable drops. Even with a 50% empty catch rate, I should pull in 15 items daily. This is what industrialized fishing truly looks like. The setting sun dyed the horizon a vivid orange, red. Salty sea breeze ruffled the hem of his clothes. Xiao Chunin glanced back toward his cabin. Bingley's figure stood silhouetted against the dancing firelight, half her face bathed in warm orange glow. He had long gathered all materials required to upgrade to an intermediate wooden cabin, but he had no intention of doing so right away. A functional shelter was more than enough for the time being. Reallocating resources to boost productivity was the only viable way for someone starting from nothing to turn their fortunes around. For the next several hours, Xiao Chunin fell into a rigid, repetitive routine. He shuttled back and forth between the cabin and the northern cliff, refilling raw meat on the grills, collecting finished roasted meat, updating his trade listings, then rushing back to retrieve and recast his fishing lines. Bingley quietly minded the 5 barbecue stoves, regulating heat with precise control to ensure every slab of meat was grilled to perfect doneness. By the time he finished his rounds, all daily fishing attempts for the 10 rods had been exhausted. Remaining daily fishing attempts, 0/3. The empty catch rate was staggeringly high. Nearly half of his lines came back with nothing but seawater droplets. Even so, the sheer volume of his casts guaranteed a decent haul. His loot included 3 bundles of twisted hemp rope, 3 unlabeled bottles of drinking water, a small sack of edible salt, 1 glass resource chest that yielded 10 units of glass, 2 timber resource chests granting 60 timber units total, 2 soft loaves of bread, a small bundle of dried mugwort, and 1 bright red apple. Most valuable of all was a yellowed blueprint scroll. Blueprint: woven fish trap quality, fine crafting cost. 1 hemp rope, 5 vines description. Automatically catches small fish when submerged underwater. Requires daily inspection and maintenance. Finally got something genuinely useful. Xiao Chunin stuffed the blueprint and all his newly gathered goods into his dimensional pouch. There were no vines growing anywhere on this island, marking yet another resource gap he would need to fill through trades. Looks like it's time to run more trade operations. He turned and headed back toward the cabin. Bingley had already removed the cooked meat from the stoves and laid 100 fresh chunks of raw meat evenly across the iron grilling racks. Night's fallen. Wrap up work once this batch finishes roasting. Xiao Chunin handed her the fresh apple he had fished up. Have a taste. Bingley took a small bite and paused for a moment. It's sweet. Of course apples are sweet. What else would they taste like? Xiao Chunin let out a quiet laugh and stepped into the cabin, pressing his palm against the island's steel. Ding. Trade completed successfully. A flood of system notifications scrolled across his vision nonstop. His roasted meat trade was booming. Operating 5 stoves at full capacity generated an overwhelming supply of cooked meat. Over those few hours, he had sold a full 1,500 portions of roasted meat. The numbers for his stored resources surged sharply within his inventory panel. Raw meat: 10,534 pieces, excluding the 100 pieces currently on the grill's timber. 5,000 thatch, 5,000 stone, 3,000 iron ingot, 260. Xiao Chunin stared at his inflated resource stockpile without a hint of joy, immediately opening the trade marketplace. As more survivors unlocked fire, starting abilities, or obtained flint and tinder, roasted meat listings flooded the trade board, igniting a brutal price war. The exchange rate he originally set at 1 portion of meat for 20 units of resources had fallen to 117, with some desperate sellers dumping their stock at 115. Let them undercut each other. More competition just weeds out the weaker players. Xiao Chunin had anticipated this shift long ago and switched over to browsing raw meat listings instead. Massive buyers stocking up for roasted meat production swarmed the market, driving the original 1:1 raw meat exchange price all the way up to 1:3. Raw meat prices have inevitably climbed. The roasted meat trade could never last forever. Market saturation was an unavoidable outcome. Hoarding large quantities of raw meat while prices had not skyrocketed completely was the optimal strategy to maximize profit. Lucky I moved quickly to reinvest all meat profits into raw meat, only keeping a small reserve of stone and iron ingots for emergencies. Leaning against the island steel, he casually scrolled through the regional chat channel. Wang Defa, anyone selling fishing rods? I'll trade roasted meat for them. Lu Chong, also buying fishing rods at a high price. 20 roasted meat per rod. Message me privately if you're selling. Joe Kai, guys, don't sell your fishing rods. I fished up a spring water vial that restores spirit energy. 3 fishing chances every single day. Selling your rod is throwing away a permanent source of supplies. Wu Gang, same here. I reeled in a white, grade iron dagger. It's a basic weapon, but still far more valuable than a single meal. Fishing rods are literal money printers. Qianjin, I've been saying this all along. Anyone trading their fishing rod for a meal is making an idiotic choice. One hot meal in exchange for lifelong survival supplies. How can anyone miscalculate that badly? Chendaong, damn it. I sold my fishing rod this afternoon. Anyone got an extra one? I'll pay 200 timber for a rod. Fishing rods are now scarce goods with zero supply on the market. Only fools would sell theirs right now. Xiao Chunan curled his lips slightly as he kept scrolling. Public awareness of the rod's true value had spread far faster than he predicted. With everyone realizing their long-term worth, fewer and fewer survivors would list rods for trade. The market always rewarded those who reacted first to changing conditions. He returned to the trade marketplace. Only 2 of his listings remained active on the sale board. One was the Iron Hoe exchange offer for clay, which had received 0 inquiries. The second listing was his final round of targeted resource collection. Item: 10 regular roasted meat quantity posted, 70/30 already sold wanted. 1 fishing rod / one-dimensional pouch / any skill book. Only 3 transactions had closed while he processed his fishing haul, all of which traded meat for dimensional pouches. Now that the value of fishing rods was common knowledge, no survivor was willing to trade such a promising item for temporary sustenance. In comparison, dimensional pouches that merely boosted carrying capacity lost their priority when people faced hunger pangs. New private messages popped up from 2 IDs he had traded with earlier that afternoon. Chendaong, Senior Xiao, I messed up badly for selling my fishing rod. Can I buy my rod back with 200 timber? I'm begging you. Ma Wenkai, mate, show some mercy for future dealings. Return my fishing rod and dimensional pouch, and I'll gift you 50 basic resource units as a token of goodwill. Ma Wenkai, you're not replying? Ma Wenkai, Xiao Chunan, I'm speaking to you politely right now. Don't be unreasonable. Ma Wenkai, the island protection shield drops in 3 days. We'll all be neighbors then. Do you really want to burn every bridge? Xiao Chunan let out a faint chuckle reading the final message. He switched from begging to threatening me in barely 5 minutes flat. People like him have no grounds to talk about keeping relationships cordial. He selected both usernames without the slightest emotion and tapped the block button. He would never return goods he had fairly acquired through agreed trades. Every exchange was voluntary and consensual on both sides. When those survivors had been trapped inside their protective domes besieged by wild beasts, a single thunder guinea fruit had been their only lifeline. Now that the immediate danger had faded, they grew bold enough to accuse him of being exploitative. They would have perished out there without those trades to begin with. Xiao Chunan retrieved the woven fish trap blueprint from his inventory and pressed it against the island steel. Ding! New craftable item unlocked, woven fish trap. With that task finished, he searched the trade marketplace for vines. The refreshed page displayed 0 available listings. Just as I expected, vines were likely a regional resource that only spawned on specific islands, so there was nothing he could do to obtain them for the time being. He chose not to dwell on the problem for now. He listed his newly cooked batch of 100 roasted meat for trade under the same terms. 10 portions of meat for 1 basic survivor item. He would let willing buyers come to him naturally. Closing the island steel interface, he let out a long breath. The exhausting labors of the day were finally over. All 5 barbecue stoves outside the cabin had burned out, though the bonfire at the entrance still crackled steadily. Its flames warded off the nighttime chill and cast warm light over the ground directly in front of the cabin. Bingley sat beside the bonfire, poking at burning wood fragments with a sharpened wooden stick. Firelight gilded her fair cheek, and the flames shimmered within her icy blue eyes. Head inside. The night wind is cold. Xiao Chunan kicked a few stray wood chips near the fire and tilted his head toward the cabin door. Bingley set down her poking stick and rose to follow him inside. The cabin plunged into total darkness once the door shut. Thin streaks of bonfire light seeped through the door gaps and side windows, barely outlining the shapes of the furniture. Xiao Chunan felt his way to the island steel and placed his palm against its surface. He pulled 3 regular wolf pelts and 1 elite wolf pelt out of storage and handed them to Bingley. Lay the regular pelts over the bedboard and use the large elite pelt as a blanket. The thatch mat is rough and uncomfortable. The fur will soften the surface a great deal. He spread the 3 ordinary wolf hides across the joined wooden bed planks with the furry side facing upward, fully covering the scratchy thatch underneath. The larger elite wolf pelt was folded in half, thick enough to serve as a lightweight quilt. Xiao Chunan did not lie down immediately, pressing his palm back to the steel to open the regional chat channel. Scrolling through messages before bed had become a solid habit for him. Back when he worked as a food delivery rider, he would scroll short videos late at night. Now he browsed survivor chat channels instead. The two routines were essentially identical. Regional chat channel Sector CN, 888 current survivors, 998,741/original 1 million over the course of a single day. More than 1,000 people had vanished from the sector. The tone of the chat was drastically different after dark compared to daytime. Daytime messages were filled with bravado, trade requests, and empty boasting. Once night fell, pleas for help and bitter complaints dominated the feed. Xiaolei, anyone know how cold the temperature drops at night? My ramshackle wooden hut has open gaps everywhere. I'm shivering so hard my teeth chatter. Zhang Jianxi, don't even get me started. 3 elite giant lizards have been ramming my protective dome non-stop all day. I can't leave my safe zone to gather even a single piece of timber. Zhou Xiaoqian, I've cut down all the thatch I could find, but my shield area is tiny. I'm curled up under my leaky makeshift shelter freezing stiff. I'll probably develop a fever tomorrow. Sun Nana, does anyone have spare food? I'm starving to death. I'll trade my silk stockings for anything edible at all. Xiao Chunin skimmed past these messages with a blank expression. Desperate cries, lamentations, and raw despair permeated the nighttime chat. This was the unvarnished truth of this cruel world. All those survivors who bragged about teaming up to slay monsters or unifying the sector during the day were now hiding away, presumably trembling inside shoddy shelters, just like these people messaging for aid. He scrolled further down and spotted a few more hopeful updates. Lin Xiaoyu, I've upgraded to an intermediate wooden cabin. I finally have a proper bedroom instead of sleeping on bare floors. I could cry happy tears. Zhou Dazhuang, also intermediate. Spent the afternoon trading resources for timber to scrape together the upgrade materials. Xinjin, you guys have intermediate cabins already? I'm stuck with my basic hut. I traded all my timber for roasted meat, and now I deeply regret it. Ma Chong, don't regret the food. At least you're full. A friend of mine hasn't eaten in a full day. He messaged saying he felt dizzy earlier and hasn't sent a single word since then. Zhao Lei, no way. Can starvation kill someone that quickly? Ma Chong, who knows for sure? The survivor count just dropped again regardless. Xiao Chunin closed the regional chat window. He felt no urge whatsoever to offer assistance to these strangers. His stockpile of resources looked massive on paper, but with nearly 1 million survivors spread across the sector, emptying out his entire inventory would be nothing more than tossing a handful of salt into the ocean. He could not save everyone, and attempting to do so would only drag himself down into ruin. His years delivering takeout had hammered one harsh lesson into his mind. Kindness was a luxury no person struggling to scrape by could afford. In this world where no one could guarantee seeing the next sunrise, any selfless kindness with no tangible return was nothing short of self-sabotage. He pulled his hand away from the island steel and turned toward the bed. Bingley had finished arranging the wolf pelts neatly. The 3 ordinary hides lined the full bed surface with fur facing up, and the folded elite pelt rested at the foot of the bed as bedding. She stood beside the mattress, patting out faint wrinkles in the fur material. Thin bonfire light filtered through the window crack, tracing a warm, soft outline along her cheek. Her ice blue hair cascaded down to her waist, swaying gently with her subtle movements. Bingley, Xiao Chunin leaned against the stone steel and watched her quietly for a moment. Before being transported to this deadly island realm, he had been nothing more than an ordinary food delivery worker, weaving through city streets on an electric scooter every day. His only regular social interaction consisted of arguing with restaurant staff over late-order pickups. When it came to romantic relationships, he had never even held a girl's hand in his 23 years of life. It was not that he lacked the desire for connection, but he had never possessed the means for it. He lived crammed into a 6-square-meter partition rental room, and after covering rent, utility bills, and daily meals each month, barely a few hundred yuan remained of his salary. How could he afford dating? Pay for dates with late delivery penalty slips? Everything was different now. Trapped within this hellish island world, death could arrive at any moment. Swallowed whole by the island-devouring shark in the ocean, or slain by vicious wild beasts while asleep at night. He had no guarantee of waking up each morning. Life was fleeting and uncertain. He ought to eat well, rest comfortably, and cherish small joys while he still could. Bingley. She straightened up and tilted her head to face him. Xiao Chunin patted the surface of the fur-lined bed. The bedding's ready. Come rest for the night. We've got piles of work waiting tomorrow. Bingley reacted without excess emotion, walking over to sit on the edge of the bed and setting her dimensional pouch beside the pillow with natural ease. Xiao Chunin walked over and laid down beside her. The wolf fur padding was vastly more comfortable than the rough thatch mat, soft against his skin with a faint, wild animal musk that was not unpleasant in the slightest. He rolled onto his side, facing Bingley, who lay an arm's length away with her hair spread loosely across the pelts. 66. Are you cold? I am not. Pull the blanket over yourself then. Xiao Chunin dragged the thick elite wolf pelt over to drape across both of their bodies. The dense fur trapped their shared body heat quickly within the small space. Their breaths mingled softly in the surrounding darkness. Staring up at the indistinct wooden ceiling planks, Xiao Chunin sorted through his thoughts for a moment before rolling over to face Bingley fully. Bingley. Yes. Would you ever turn me away? A short beat of silence passed. I would not. Her reply was calm and unhesitant, void of embarrassment or awkward shyness. The label of absolute loyalty displayed on her status panel carried tangible meaning in this quiet instant. Xiao Chunin fell silent after her answer and slowly stretched out his hand, resting it gently beside her arm. They lay side by side in quiet companionship, letting the exhaustion of the long day melt away amid the quiet safety of their shared shelter. The bonfire outside had burned down to embers at some point, plunging the cabin into complete darkness. Only the rotating purple beam from the distant ancient lighthouse swept through the window gaps at intervals, casting slow streaks of purple light across the wooden walls. Xiao Chunin lay flat on his back, his breathing gradually slowing into a steady rhythm. Beside him, Bingley's eyes were closed in peaceful slumber, her breathing calm, and even with her hair scattered across the wolf fur bedding. He glanced over at her sleeping form and tugged the elite pelt blanket tighter around her shoulders to keep her fully covered against the night chill before closing his own eyes. His final thought before drifting off was not his work schedule for the next day, the 3-day protection shield expiration trial, nor the colossal island-devouring shark lurking in the surrounding ocean depths. It was a simple, plain wish. This wooden bed needed to be replaced with a larger one soon. Sunlight seeped through cracks in the cabin's wooden door when Xiao Chunin woke up the next morning. The firm wooden bed frame offered decent support for his body. He turned his head to look at Bingley beside him. She lay curled on her side with her ice-blue hair fanned across the firm mat, breathing steadily in deep sleep, wrapped securely inside the elite wolf pelt with only half her face exposed to the cool air. Xiao Chunin studied the grain patterns on the ceiling, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. After 23 years of solitary life, he finally had someone to share this fragile safety with amid the apocalyptic wasteland. He quietly swung his legs over the bed and stood up, stretching his stiff shoulders. His muscles felt sore and fatigued from yesterday's constant labor. The physical toll of nonstop work is really noticeable now, he muttered to himself while slipping his shoes on at the foot of the bed. Right then, a string of ethereal system chimes echoed inside his mind. Ding. Day 2 of island survival. All resource nodes have refreshed. Ding. Your epic lighthouse is active, boosting resource output from all nodes on your island by 50%. Ding. Newcomer protection period remaining, 48 hours. Ding. Weather forecast. Moderate to heavy rain will sweep Zone CN, 888 in 12 hours. All contestants are advised to prepare in advance. For system alerts, each more critical than the last. Resource respawns meant another full round of gathering today. 48 hours of protection left, 2 more days of buffer time. But the fourth notice, rain? Xiao Chunin walked to the door and pushed open the wooden plank door. Seawater brine filled the crisp morning air rushing toward him. A layer of grayish, white clouds hung low over the horizon, far thicker than they had been the previous day. The ancient lighthouse glowed with striking violet light in the early dawn, its beams sweeping across the sea in steady circles around the tower top. A chibi fairy drifted out of the cabin and hovered before him, tiny wings fluttering rapidly as its beady eyes sized him up and down. Did you sleep well last night, master? There was a faint teasing lilt in Deep Blue's voice. Xiao Chunin shot the little creature a sideways glance. Fine. Deep Blue thinks you slept very well indeed. The fairy flitted onto his shoulder and lowered its voice. After all, Deep Blue kept watch the entire night through. Xiao Chunin halted mid-step. You don't have a sleep or standby mode. System fairies operate 24/7 with no shutdown function whatsoever. Deep Blue wore an expression that plainly said it took you this long to figure that out. A faint warmth crept up Xiao Chunin's earlobes. He lifted Deep Blue off his shoulder, stuffed it into his pocket, and tightened the opening. Stay put in there. MMPH. Master, you're embarrassed. Muffled muttering drifted out from the sealed pocket. Deep Blue only wanted to say Lady Bingley has an incredibly gentle aura. Xiao Chunin gave his pocket a sharp tap. One more word out of you, and I'll tie you to a fishing line as live bait. Silence finally fell inside the pocket. He loosened the pocket opening and drew in a deep breath of cool seaside air to calm his flustered mood. Soft footsteps sounded from behind him. Bingley stepped out of the wooden cabin. Her ice blue long hair was loosely tied back, softening the icy detachment of her empress bearing and lending her a mature, serene charm. She came to stand beside him, her gaze sweeping across the entirety of the island. The island is awfully quiet. Xiao Chunin followed her line of sight. The small wood stood lush and verdant. The tall thatch grasses had regrown to their original height. The stone piles had reset, and the thunderberry trees were heavy with clusters of purple fruit once more. Beyond the sound of wind and crashing waves, not a single other noise echoed across the land. Aren't wild mobs respawning? Xiao Chunin frowned slightly. Deep Blue poked half its head out of the pocket. Wild creatures are not classified as renewable resources. Once the native beasts and elite monsters on the island are slain, they will never reappear. How are we supposed to source food going forward then? Rely solely on buying raw meat via the trading post. You can obtain food supplies through angling. Additionally, the system will periodically release wild creatures onto the island during special events. No natural monster spawns will occur under normal circumstances. Events? What kind of events? Information classified for now. You will learn the details when the time comes, Master. Xiao Chuinan's mind raced to piece together the situation. No respawning wild creatures meant the total raw meat stock across the entire zone was now a finite resource that would only dwindle over time. Hundreds of thousands of contestants had hunted basic and elite monsters the previous day, generating massive volumes of raw meat, evidenced by the hundreds of thousands of trade listings posted on the exchange. Starting today, fresh meat could only be gained through unreliable fishing or unscheduled system events. Supply was plummeting while demand remained constant. Hundreds of thousands of survivors needed sustenance every single day. Meat prices are bound to skyrocket. He had bulk purchased raw meat at a 1:1 exchange rate when everyone was dumping stock yesterday. He'd thought he'd made a tidy profit back then, but the actual gains were far larger than he'd anticipated. Bingley, go harvest all 3 resource nodes first. Xiao Chunin turned back toward the cabin. I have some matters to sort out. Understood. Bingley took the lumber axe and mining pickaxe he handed her without extra questions, then headed toward the eastern woodland. Xiao Chunin pushed open the wooden door and hurried to the island monument, pressing his palm against its surface. His trade records immediately pulled up, flooding his vision with a stream of system notifications. Ding! All iron hose X1 listed for sale have been purchased. Obtained iron ingots X10. Ding! All roasted meat X170 listed for sale have been purchased. Obtained bag of holding X12, fishing rod X2, skill tome. Decomposition X2, skill tome. Appraisal X1. Xiao Chunin narrowed his eyes. Every listing he had posted overnight had sold out completely. Setting aside these newly acquired goods, he opened the trade hall and typed raw meat into the search bar. All listings priced at 1 unit meat for 3 or 4 units of wood had vanished entirely. The cheapest available listing had jumped to 1 unit raw meat in exchange for 5 units of wood, and these postings were being snapped up at a visible rate. He switched over to the roasted meat market. Prices had surged back up from yesterday's 1:15 ratio to 1:20, with multiple listings marked at an exorbitant 1:25. Everyone reacted fast enough. Xiao Chunin pulled up the regional chat channel. Regional chat, Zone CN, 888,996,741/1 million online. Over 1,000 more people had perished overnight, their fates unknown. Damn it, the rabbits we hunted yesterday never came back. They're gone for good once killed. The wild boars on my island vanished too. Resources refreshed, but 0 monster spawns. We're doomed. I traded all my raw meat for materials at 1:1 yesterday. I'm such an idiot. Anyone holding me? Buying at 6 wood per meat unit. Unlimited quantity. Urgent raw meat purchase. 8 wood per unit. Take everything you've got. Don't be foolish to sell your meat right now. It's going to become hard currency from this point on. Calm down, everyone. Prices will keep rising. With no monster respawns, meat supplies will only keep shrinking. The chat feed was flooded with lamentations and regret, a textbook scene of latecomers kicking themselves over missed opportunities. Xiao Chunin closed the chat window with a blank expression. Thankfully, he had acted decisively. The more than 10,000 portions of raw meat he bought cheaply at 1:1 had quintupled in value overnight. Still, he had no intention of selling his stock just yet. The market price hadn't hit its peak. Xiao Chunan exited the chat panel and selected the Upgrade tab. Tier 2 Wooden Cabin Upgrade Requirements. Lumber X 300, Thatch X 200, Stone X 50. Upgrade. Brilliant light erupted from the island monument, enveloping the entire cabin. The next instant, a gentle force pushed Xiao Chunan outdoors. The foundation sank deeper into the earth with thicker, sturdier stone masonry. The walls expanded outward, the wooden planks darkened, and all gaps were sealed tight with a resinous, adhesive substance. The thatched roof was doubled in thickness and layered with an oilcloth, like waterproof covering. Ding. Shelter upgraded to Tier 2 Wooden Cabin. Ding. New structure unlocked. Fusion furnace. Ding. Shield barrier radius expanded to 6 meters. Secured safe zone area, 113.04 square meters. Xiao Chunan pushed the door open and stepped inside. The internal space had doubled in size, partitioned into 2 separate rooms. The outer chamber served as a living area with the island monument placed centrally, while the inner section was an enclosed bedroom roughly 15 square meters in size. This is finally proper living quarters. He returned to the island monument and pressed his palm against its surface once more. A new entry had appeared on the building list. Fusion furnace construction requirements. Stone X50, Iron Ingot X20, Glass X1. Description: merges identical low-tier items, equipment, and materials with a chance to raise their quality grade. Constructed. A flash of white light materialized a waste, high stone furnace beside the workbench in the living room. Its interior cavity was pitch black, and arcane runes hovered above the furnace mouth. Ding. Fusion furnace construction complete. Xiao Chunan walked over and rested his hand against the warm stone exterior, bringing up a simple interface. 3 input slots lined the upper section with a confirmation button below. He retrieved 3 empty bags of holding from his inventory, loot obtained from trading roasted meat the previous night. He placed the 3 identical white, quality pouches into the slots. The runes above the furnace mouth lit up instantly. Fusion recipe. White, grade bag of holding times 3 expected product. Green, grade essence satchel times 1 success rate. 100% proceed with fusion. Fuse. The floating runes spun rapidly. The 3 bags of holding dissolved into streaks of white light and were drawn into the dark furnace cavity. The furnace rumbled with a low resonant hum. After a few heartbeats, the vibration faded away. Ding. Fusion successful. A brand new pouch floated out from the furnace interior, glowing with soft pale green light. Its rough burlap fabric replaced with refined woven textile. Xiao Chunan caught the satchel and examined it closely. It felt sturdier, fitted with a drawstring around the opening. Essence satchel quality. Fine green capacity. 30 inventory slots functions. Weight nullification. Vacuum fresh. Keeping. Description: portable storage container. Stored items bear no weight burden, drastically slowing spoilage and degradation of perishable goods. Capacity jumped from 10 slots to 30, plus built-in vacuum preservation. No more worrying about fresh ingredients spoiling after just a few hours in storage. A satisfied grin tugged at Xiao Chunan's lips. The fusion was well worth the cost. The island monument's warehouse had infinite storage but could not be carried on his person, while basic white bags of holding only reduced carry weight without preventing food rot. The new preservation feature of the green essence satchel perfectly fixed this flaw. Deep Blue perched on the furnace rim, looking eager for more crafting. Keep going, master. Plan on it. He intended to give 1 satchel to Bingley, leaving 15 more bags of holding in storage. 3 basic pouches forged 1 green satchel, meaning he could craft 5 more essence satchels in total. Xiao Chunan deposited another 3 bags of holding into the furnace. Fuse. The furnace swallowed the white light, hummed to life, and ejected another green satchel, the second finished product. He repeated the process again and again, crafting the 3rd, 4th, and 5th satchels in quick succession. 18 white bags of holding were soon converted into 6 green essence satchels, lined up neatly beside the furnace and shimmering with green luminescence. Xiao Chunan rubbed his palms together. Deep Blue, can green, grade items be fused further for higher quality? Absolutely. 3 items of identical quality can be fused for a chance to upgrade 1 tier. Success probability drops as item quality rises. What's the success rate for fusing green into blue quality? Why not place them inside and find out for yourself? Deep Blue grabbed 3 essence satchels with its tiny hands and tossed them straight into the furnace slots. A new system prompt popped up immediately. Fusion recipe. Green, grade essence satchel times 3 expected product. Blue, grade spatial pouch times 1 success rate. 90% proceed with fusion. A footnote appeared underneath the main prompt. Note: fusing 3 items of matching quality grants a chance for a single quality upgrade. Upon failure, 1 original item is refunded, and the other 2 are permanently consumed. 90% odds. Xiao Chunin hovered his fingertip over the confirmation button. The odds heavily favored success, yet there was always that 10% margin of failure. A failed fusion would cost him 2 green satchels, equivalent to 60 inventory slots total. In the mobile games he played in his past life, a 90% success rate was considered guaranteed success, enough to screenshot and share with friends. Every seasoned gamer knew, however, that high apparent success rates were often when bad luck struck hardest. If I hesitate over 90% odds, I don't stand a chance in this survival game. Gritting his teeth, he committed to the gamble. Fuse. The runes etched across the furnace spun at maximum speed. 3 streams of green light were pulled into the dark furnace mouth, and the low resonance grew deeper as runes lit sequentially from the furnace base all the way to its apex. Deep Blue pressed its round face against the stone rim, peering anxiously into the furnace. Succeed, succeed, succeed. Xiao Chunin stared intently at the furnace opening, equally tense. 3 seconds passed, then 5. The humming noise cut off abruptly. Ding. Fusion successful. An elegantly crafted pouch, glowing with vivid blue luminescence, floated out of the furnace. Silver thread lined its opening, decorated with a tiny carved beast bone pendant. Xiao Chunin reached out to grasp it. The material felt sleek and smooth to the touch. Spatial pouch quality, rare blue capacity, 90 inventory slots functions. Weight nullification, vacuum fresh, keeping, temporal stasis description, portable storage container. Stored items carry 0 weight load, and all stored goods remain in an unchanging static state. Temporal stasis? Xiao Chunin's breath hitched for a split second. This single feature held far greater value than the 90 slot capacity. The Island Monument's warehouse preserved goods indefinitely precisely due to internal temporal stasis. And now this small wearable pouch possessed that exact core function, usable anywhere he traveled. Deep Blue circled the spatial pouch in mid-air. You've struck gold with this blue rare, grade pouch, master. Xiao Chunin weighed the pouch in his palm, a strong sense of satisfaction washing over him. I still have 3 green satchels left. Let's try another fusion. He dumped the remaining 3 essence satchels into the furnace in one go. Proceed with fusion? Fuse. The runes swirled once more as the green light vanished into the furnace, the familiar hum resonating through the stone structure. Xiao Chunin remained calm this time. 2 consecutive successful fusions at 90% odds carried an overall success probability of 81%, practically a sure thing. The vibration died down. Ding. Fusion successful. A second blue, glowing spatial pouch emerged from the furnace. Wah! 2 blue quality pouches in a row. Master's luck is incredible. Deep Blue spun excitedly around the 2 glowing blue pouches, practically bursting with joy. Fewer than 10 blue tier items exist across the entire CN 888 zone right now. Xiao Chunin picked up the second spatial pouch and laid the 2 side by side on the table, unable to suppress the upward curve of his mouth. 2 rare blue spatial pouches, offering a combined 180 portable inventory slots alongside permanent temporal stasis storage. He fastened one pouch to his waist belt and stowed the other away to give to Bingley later. A single spatial pouch equals 3 portable storage units. I'll never run out of carrying capacity on future expeditions again.